So you can catch it, match it, stash it in the cabinet. Listen to the chorus while let Ivan scratch it. This is real hip hop, we aiming for a classic. And if we can't approach it, screw it, we'll attack it. Catch it, match it, stash it in the cabinet. Listen to the chorus while let Ivan. This is real hip hop, we aiming for a classic. And if we can't approach it, screw it, we'll attack it. What you know about classic music?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to today's Retro Wrestling Review Series, SummerSlam 2012. Before we talk about why we picked the show and everything, let's introduce everybody. First, the person that was at the show, JJ. How are you doing today?
Doing well. I'm kind of glad to be here, talk about this very interesting SummerSlam that I had the pleasure or displeasure of viewing live and then reviewing. But, James told me you guys were doing this, and I was like, hey, if you want an outsider opinion, I was there. So
yeah.
You invited me to come on, so it's good to be here. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, man.
And then the next person, the co-host, the person who records these shows every time we do them until I get OBS, and the person that has been hated on the WWE product during Vince's era for over 15 years. James the He-Man.
Okay, over 15 years might be a stretch.
Hey, those are your words. You said you waited 15 years for a change, so that's.
You know what? That's fair, but I wouldn't say the hatred started until 2011. Let's call a spade a little bit.
You did say 15 years though, so that's why that's
15 years waiting for change, yes. 15 years of complete hatred, no. we gotta be clear about this. No.
There we go.
I'm doing good. I am very tired, but it's worth it because I'm very proud of what we've done as a collective, not only on Jeff Meacham's stuff, but on FTW as a whole, and I'm just very proud of everything I've done, despite everything that happened, and I'm looking forward to reviewing an absolutely craptastic show. This should be hell. And what great timing this is, too. I mean, we were talking about it in the botched take earlier, but we might as well get into it now. What a difference a premiere of a frickin' retro makes, huh?
I know.
Right after our retro premieres, which was the 2002 review, then Vince retires, JJ, myself, and a bunch of other people are with Aaron Riff breaking the news. Hey, Vince is retired. Wow.
Yeah. The one thing we never thought we'd see. We all thought that Vince would die before he retires.
Yeah.
I know.
And judging by the show, I'm glad he decided to do the former.
Yeah.
So.
Let's talk about this show. I have it on Wikipedia.
There you go.
This show took place in Hollywood, in LA. This was like the fourth year in a row that SummerSlam took place in LA because they had that deal. They would go there for, I believe, until 2014 because 2015 was the first year it was in Brooklyn. So
I think so.
I think originally they had a 5-year deal and then they extended it for an extra year. I think that was what originally the plan was.
And usually when I have guests on the show, I like to have them guess. Since you were there, JJ, if you had to make a guess, how many people do you think attended this show?
Say about 13,000, roughly.
Maybe you're right, but according to Wikipedia, it's 14,205. But you know how WWE likes to make up the numbers, so maybe you're right.
Yeah, they do
Inflation.
They do inflate things just a little bit, but
Just a little bit, yeah.
I honestly don't remember seeing an empty seat in the house. So
Yeah,
you got to figure this was definitely a hot period for WWE.
absolutely.
So,
And then you want to guess what the buy? I'll let James get this since he probably watched it on pay per view. Do you want to guess what the buy rate? Because this was pre network, so you want to guess what the buy rate for this pay per view
An
was?
abysmal 205,000 buys.
No,
For WWE
it was
standards.
It was 358,000
I'm
buys.
shocked it got that much.
And what was 2,000?
This show didn't deserve that. I'm sorry. We'll get into why.
in retrospect, it didn't. But again, you've got to think about what all was going at the time in the storylines. And we'll get into the match by match in a minute, I'm sure. But Punk was in the middle of his hugely successful title reign at this point. You know, the year of Punk, not just the summer of Punk, but after regaining the title at Survivor Series, and then he wouldn't lose it until Rumble the following year.
Right.
Like, we really were behind Punk, and everybody thought this huge change was going to occur, which, granted, didn't happen at the time, but now here we are 10 years later, and a change has occurred.
Yep.
For the better. Especially you figure you've got the competition like AEW in place, and then the old man retires.
Yeah.
I know.
There's a huge change that has taken place in the industry since Punk's year-long title reign, and we were all wrapped up in the middle of that here, so...
Yeah,
I know.
Kidding.
So yeah, let's talk about start talking about this show. I'm assuming none of you guys watched the pre-show, so I'll just go over it real quick.
Well, I was there and saw the pre-show match live, but yeah, it wasn't on the network or anything to go back and rewatch, unfortunately, because that was a hell of a match. Antonio Cesaro, I think it was against Santino.
Yep. But before that, we had the commentary team of Matt Stryker and Scott Stanford. Not a good commentary pair-up. Matt Stryker wasn't bad, but obviously this is Scott Stanford, and he's just not good on commentary, so he was pretty bad here.
Freaking Stanford. How he ever got a job in this industry, I will never understand.
I don't even remember Scott Stanford. That says everything you need to know right there. He's so unmemorable.
All you need to remember about Scott Stanford was that he tried to talk about, if I'm straight edge, could I eat Cocoa Puffs? And Punk just straight up asked, where the hell do you come from? Straight up, just buried him on the air on Superstars. Just, dude never recovered. Never recovered, nor should he have.
I still like to go back and watch that on occasion.
It's so hilarious, that whole commentary compilation of Punk, man. That was so
But anyhow, though, as for where both guys are nowadays, Matt Stryker didn't last much longer in WWE. He was released in 2013 and has done play-by-play for AAA on the English side. And has he done New Japan? I'm pretty sure he's done New Japan.
He's done New Japan on the side as well. He's also done Lucha Underground, which is probably his most infamous commentary gig, minus Impact.
And then, Impact, and then now he's doing MMA fights again.
There you go.
And then as for Scott Stanford, he's still there somehow. I don't know how he's still there. He doesn't commentate anymore.
He's still employed?
He is.
Kevin Dunn is still employed, so, you know.
Well, no, okay.
I guess.
Kevin, as much shit as we're going to give Kevin, and rightfully so, especially for this goddamn travesty. Oh my god. I swear I was going to have a migraine with how many camera points he had. But no, here's why I bring that up, though. Kevin has a seat at least until he brings on a successor, and you need, as a production guy, even at a small level, you need to ease somebody into that spot. You can't just be like, here you go, pal. You know, it just doesn't work like that. But Scott Stanford is not in that level at all. He's not even sniffing Kevin Dunn's jock at this point. What are you doing keeping this guy employed?
But
that
anyhow,
boggles my mind.
He's still there. He would host Raw Talk panels and Talk and Smack panels and things like that. And
that sounds like riveting television.
He does something else behind the scenes, but I just don't care about him enough to even look it up at all. So
Yeah,
I ain't doing that.
Probably eating Cocoa Puffs.
Well, he's not straight edge, so he apparently he can do that. So
He's
I've
not
seen his
straight edge,
best
so
of
he can
Braden
eat.
Walker DVD.
He probably watched the Braden Walker DVD unironically.
Then the Big Show. So the Big Show gets interviewed, and we'll talk more about like his storyline when we actually talk about the match. But basically, he said he's going to win the triple threat match tonight because he's a giant, and that's just the typical storyline they always do with the Big Show. He's a giant. Nobody could beat him. It was really bad.
Jesus. Yep.
And then we had the first match on the show. It was a United States Championship match. It was Santino Marella defending against Antonio Cesaro with Oksana inside. So yeah, what a difference! I think what I'll do is I'll talk, since I watched the show live at the time. I'll just talk about my feelings at the time and then talk about it now. I think at the time what I thought was Cesaro, because I didn't really know, this was the first exposure I had with Antonio Cesaro. I saw there was talent there, but I wasn't sure if WWE was getting the talent that they had, because this was when he was doing his 5 languages gimmick and he was with Oksana for some strange reason. Remember that generic theme song he had when he first came into the company? It was like,
Oh my God.
But it's so much like it's really bad, but it's so much worse when you actually listen to the theme song, like when it actually plays. It's so bad.
It's like straight out of the freaking like bin from Jim Johnson's recycle bin. Like that's
it's
where
so
they
bad.
got this from, man. It's so craptastic.
It sounds like a song that they created to throw to commercial back in WCW that just never got used, and they were like, "Oh, this works."
Yeah, it's spicy. There you go. That's your theme, Cesaro. I already have one in FCW. You could just remix. I can get a friend trying to. No, pal, we gotta use this. Jim Johnson, we gotta get him paid.
Yeah, but anyhow, the feud. This is gonna be I think that happens throughout the show. Not much of a feud going on here. Antonio Cesaro beat Santino Marella in a couple of non-title matches to get this championship opportunity. It's about it for the feud.
Can you repeat that?
Not much of a feud going on here.
No, but after that.
Antonio Cesaro beat Santino Marella in a couple of non-title matches to get this opportunity. Was that it?
Why is Santino getting the opportunity if he got beat twice?
No, I said it.
Santino's the champion.
Oh,
going into this. Cesaro defeated Santino a couple times in the weeks leading up in order to earn the opportunity to challenge for the United States Championship here.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even know. It's funny because he probably was the U.S. champion. I looked at that show, right? I don't know why, but my brain erases that he was ever U.S. champion. I thought Claudio had the belt.
No, Cesaro had the belt.
There you go.
Santino had the belt going in, and one of the things that I remember most about this is the fact that I kind of knew going in that Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli, was going to take the championship here. Number one, Santino is not a believable United States championship holder. Like, he's just that gimmicky, jokey character.
No shit.
Yep.
And when you think about the prestige that the United States title has, Santino Marella is just one of those. It's like when me and Jeff talked about the Horsemen, Paul Roma, United States Championship, Santino Marella.
Yeah.
But then you also figure Claudio had made the rounds in Southern California with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and had a huge following out here. So for them to give him his first championship in LA was a huge market for him because he had a rabid fan base out here, and you could really get the feel from the audience that they knew that their boy was taking that belt.
Absolutely. Talking about the match a little bit, they both start chain wrestling for a little bit. Cesaro gets the advantage throughout much of this chain wrestling hold because it's freaking Cesaro, and that's obviously going to happen. Santino tries to go for the Cobra, but Antonio Cesaro knocks him down. They do spots where Cesaro gets Santino in rest hold, and he tries to grab the Cobra, but he keeps getting pulled away from it. So Cesaro just whips the Cobra up. and this pisses Santino off. He hulks up. He goes off on Cesaro. He pulls out another Cobra, but the Cobra gets distracted by Oksana because she's beautiful, which allows Antonio Cesaro to hit the launching uppercut into the neutralizer for the win, and Antonio Cesaro became the new United States champion. It's a 2-star match. It's a typical pre-show match. It was really short, and it was cool to see Cesaro get his first title win at the time. But obviously now it's not as cool because it really shows how much they really lost their way with Cesaro because they just didn't know what to do with this guy ever.
They didn't know what to do here.
Yeah.
Like
the most disappointing thing about this is the fact that his first title victory was a pre-show. It wasn't even on the main card. Like, we look at some of these matches and, you know, how god-awful some of them were, and it's like, you couldn't have put this on the main card?
I know.
Hey, remember it wasn't even in 2011 in TLC, right at the tail end of the year, where they had that entire photo op with a bunch of young guys holding the belts. Yeah, so much for that one.
Yeah, but yeah. So, did you take any additional thoughts on this match? I know you'd like to take notes about, or did you not see this match?
I saw the match. The only note I can give you would be, by the way, of course, when we were about to go on the air, I'm like, well, my notes got deleted somehow, so that's great. I don't have my own notes. That's perfect
that sucks.
for me. But I know what I want to talk about mainly anyway. I'm sure you guys will cover it as well. But the only note I can really give you is I seriously just my mind blanked that he was ever the champion, Santino. I thought Claudio was coming in champion. I don't know why my brain just auto-corrected like that, but that's how much I gave a shit about Santino at this time. Because, like, when in 2007 to 2008 to even 2009 was, like, when he was genuinely funny. And then they just started to water him down at that point. Yeah.
The Glamorella angle. That was some of the best Santino stuff.
The 62 weeks as Intercontinental Champion shit. Yeah. Like, that was hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
The honky-tonky meter.
The honky-tonky meter was the funniest shit, man. Like, and then they just like, nah, we're gonna force it down everybody's throats now because you just showed a little bit of comedy. It's like what they did to R-Truth. It's like Raw and Truth Killings. They saw that he could do comedy once, and now he's never ever gonna be able to be any more than just a comedy guy, and that's such a shame because you look at the guy and he's like, dude, this is like a former MMA. That's Santino. You look at him and this is like a former NWA World Champion who
two times, you know,
beating Jeff, feuding with Jarrett, which didn't, and then looking even better probably in a lot of fans' eyes coming out of it, which didn't happen often back then. And then he does one comedy thing and that's it. He's known as the comedy guy. And then when they tried to do something different with him in like 2011, they just kind of, it's on the show. We'll get to that.
I guess it is.
Santino's a freaking legit badass who knows MMA.
He was in Impact. He made an appearance on Impact Wrestling, and it's like it's such a difference between how he is. He just commentated and stuff, but it's such a difference of how he acts there than he did in WWE ever. So
it's like they just saw him as a comedy geek, and it's just like and again, he was genuinely funny.
Yeah.
But the problem is they shoved it down everybody's throats to the point where it's like scripted comedy eventually. And this is scripted Santino.
Part of it was the whole PG era, and they were trying to make him a gimmick that would appeal to the kids and sell merchandise and action figures and, Cobras that you could buy online, The WWE has always been about marketing and how they're going to make their money, and when you're presenting a PG product geared towards kids and you can make money off of a little sock puppet like a Socko, like a Cobra or something, you're going to push that aspect of it because that's going to make money for you.
Yep. As for where both guys are today, Santino Marella and Cesaro would go on to have a few more matches for the belt. Where Cesaro would be would retain each time. Cesaro, obviously, like as we talked about, never really got anything in WWE. He would have a few tag title reigns and a few U.S. title reigns, but the WWE just never really saw him as a top player that could go for the World Championship. So eventually, after like years of being there, years of sniffing the main event scene, and then them never really doing anything with him, he eventually didn't resign his he didn't resign his contract earlier this year, and now he's in AEW. And he already is a bigger deal there. He's been there, what, like a month?
And he's already a world champion. He's already a world champion. They didn't even waste time.
Yeah.
Because they knew what they had. You know, it's sad because the best run that Cesaro probably had in WWE when he was teaming with Sheamus in the bar. That was probably the best push that he had.
And it should have been way more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would even say the best one he had. I would even say the best one he had was when he was in NXT for that period of time, feuding with Sami Zayn. That was even
probably, yeah. Honestly, if you're talking work rate, that's probably the best. If you're talking sports entertainment, then the bar was Sheamus.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, that shouldn't be his 1A, 1B. Never should have been. His 1A should have been he won the world title after the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. That should have propelled him to freaking superstardom. And they did nothing with him. Not a single thing.
As for Santino Marella, you know, obviously he would last at like another couple years in WWE. He had like a tag team one with Ray Khali that made no sense. And then in 2014, I think he had to retire because of a neck injury, so he couldn't really do anything anymore. He would make part-time appearances in WWE, but then I think he has like his own wrestling school. I think promotion, I believe, too, but definitely his own wrestling school now, and he's made appearances in Impact Wrestling. I think his daughter got signed recently, if I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
too.
she did. She's part of NXT. I forget her gimmick name right now, but she got signed to NXT and is part of that roster.
It's Cora Jade.
No, it's not Cora.
No, it's not.
The skateboard's her child.
Yeah. I don't know, but
Instead
then...
of the Cobra, now it's the skateboard.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
And as for the United States Championship itself, it got redesigned. If you go look at pictures, the U.S. title was obviously the old logo from 2003 up until 2020. They redesigned it in 2020.
I really like that design. It's probably my favorite design championship in the entire company.
Which one? The old one or
the new one? The new one.
Yeah, I
really
like the new one.
I like that's the only title that they changed that I actually liked and stuck with. I'm like, all right, yeah, I can get behind that.
And then
you're forgetting one big thing about Santino. His little spat with Jim Cornette.
I didn't know about it, so talk about it.
Oh, okay. You want me to talk about? Okay, so basically, Jim Cornette and Santino were at a press conference, right? And so Santino heard all this crap that Jim Cornette was spewing on his podcast, which was basically just more death threats because, you know, the dude's kind of a psychopath. And he's saying, it's work, brother. So Santino, basically having enough of his BS, basically just went there, smiled at him, and then tried to have a civil conversation with him. And then Jim Cornette, being confronted by the very man he's been talking shit about online, is like, all of a sudden he wants he don't want the smoke, you know? He just didn't want the smoke. He's like, I gotta go and do my press conference. We'll just deal with it later, right? And so Santino's like, no, you've been talking shit. Now you want to try to avoid me? It's like, I already told you, motherfucker, I don't want to deal with you. And then Santino's like, well, you're dealing with me now because we're in the same place. Why don't you do something about it? Why don't you try to slap me again? See what happens. And Santino damn near almost killed him had security not get involved because Jim Cornette was legitimately about to hit him because he's not exactly right in the head. That's basically what happened.
When was this? Was this recently? Or?
No, well, it was semi-recent. When was that? 2016, I think, JJ, right?
I hadn't heard about this either, so I'm not
that's
sure.
Right.
You
Yeah, no, you would.
2016, I wasn't involved.
Yeah, you did hear about the slap that he got in OVW, right?
Yeah, I heard about.
Yeah, that's kind of where that stemmed from. So that was like, I think it was like 2016 at that a wrestling convention. Jim Cornette, of course, tried to babyface his thing. The fans cheered him until they found out the story, and then they kind of turned on him later and promptly kicked him out of the damn convention hall. Rightfully so. There you go.
I wonder if this is why you don't see Santino in WWE anymore, because that's kind of. I wonder if that's
No,
why
hell no. They hate corny. The only time they won't hate corny is when, you know, there's like a legit, like, there's a big deal, like, inductee. Hall of Fame or something of that nature where it's too big to let petty shit like that get in the way, even if it is
Okay.
Cornette.
And you figure Cornette's a Hall of Famer anyways. Like, he needs to get inducted at some point for his contributions to the business.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
For sure.
There can't be that much bad blood with Santino if they signed his daughter, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him come around and start to make sporadic appearances.
Yeah,
more
for sure.
His daughter is used, a la Rick Steiner, coming in and helping Braun Breaker or whatever. And honestly, Santino is a great mind. A lot of people don't put that over.
Not at all.
Yeah,
I think he'd be a hell of an addition to the creative team right now as Triple H is trying to restructure things.
Or even for AEW as well. Like, any creative team, somebody should be getting him. Like, no doubt.
You know, you figure the personality Santino had, he can definitely help the NXT guys get over with some character development.
Yeah, big time. Big time there, yeah. Which is what they desperately need.
And then another notable person that was on this pre-show was Tony Jimmo. He was the ring announcer for this match. I think he ring announced other matches.
Hold on, because he's not on the show, I gotta do it once. Rated R. Superstar Edge.
But yeah, he would announce this match. Pretty much, he would last a little bit longer when announcing. He pretty much took a part-time role and just did house shows after a while. Then eventually, like in 2016, 2017-ish, he just did a backstage role. He was like the head producer and helped do ring crew and all that type of stuff. Then eventually he was released. I think he was furloughed, but then it turned into a release in 2020 during the pandemic cuts. And now he works at Trader Joe's nowadays. I don't know.
What?
I guess.
Nah.
Yeah, I guess that's what Wikipedia said. So
Bullshit.
No, somebody hire him immediately.
I was going to say, Wikipedia can be edited by anybody. Don't put 100% stock in that. But we have heard about some of these talents getting legit 9-to-5s.
Well, the only reason I believe it is because Tony Schiavone was in a Starbucks for the longest time after Nitro shut down. Which is so sad.
Yeah.
Dude, he's a legend, Tony Chimmel.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh. I mean, he could be the manager there as opposed to just a retail employee, but who knows?
Yeah.
Still, though, he's working at Trader Joe's. This dude should be right there with the Ring of Honor ring announcer. I forget his name off the top of my head. And freaking Justin Roberts. Bobby Cruz and Jim Ross. You should be right there with them, damn it.
Yeah, it says here, following his release from the WWE, Schimmel took a job at Trader Joe's store.
All right. Well, I guess that was his choice then. It had to have been, right?
It doesn't necessarily say it was. It just said he took the job. Doesn't mean he took the job by choice.
All I can say is Josh Matthews was a producer on the Ric Flair Final Match pay-per-view, and Tony Chimmel works at Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
That needs to be reversed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I agree. And I actually don't have that much of a beef with Justin like Jeff and you do. I just like
Josh Matthews.
I don't have a beef with him. Like, but in fact, I actually liked his. I thought he was a better freaking heel announcer than freaking Michael Cole was. To be fair, probably because he's actually a dick at IRL. But yeah, man, Schimmel is doing that. That's BS, dude. It's so BS.
It's bad. But anyhow, continuing with the show, Triple H was backstage talking to referee Scott Armstrong. Again, we'll talk about more behind the scenes of his match coming up on the show when we actually get to it.
That was Triple H really good acting. I don't think people give Triple H enough credit for his able to sell the severity of the situation like he can.
Yeah, but Triple H, was taping. He's taping up his wrist, and he's telling Scott Armstrong that this is basically going to be a fight to the finish. It's going to be referee's discretion. The only way this match ends is by pinfall or submission. And he tells him this is going to be a fight. Let us fight. And Scott Armstrong just nods his head and agrees. This was really good, like promo segment by Triple H. It was really awesome. And yeah, I will say too, because it's really weird to see. It's so weird to see Triple H with blonde hair, because this is the last time he had a match with blonde hair.
Last time, and you can tell it was thinning here. By the way,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can just see the last remains of it, like trying to hang on before he has to just go fully bald.
Yeah,
It's getting bad, man.
but
Take
yeah,
slight
it's
offense to that. I resemble that remark.
Hey, you at least still had the full head of hair. It's Triple H.
Oh man, I don't know about that, man. I take this hat off. My hairline is running like a marathon.
but yeah, it's really weird that a few years ago when Triple H came out with the short hair, it was weird to see him with that. Now we go back and watch shows because he's had the short hair for so long. It's so weird to see him with blonde hair. Like it's just so weird. Like
Yeah, especially in like an HD production. I think that's what
I know.
that's really the icing on the cake. I was like, wait, we're seeing Triple H with long hair
yeah.
with, in an HD production. What?
And then this isn't important to the show at the time, but I want to talk about it now because this is when WWE was trying to go for it. There was a tout segment on the show. Guys, remember tout? Remember tout?
Yes. Yes, the original
Remember-
like Snapchat and shit.
Is tout even a
People
thing?
go on,
Original
record
Snapchat
15
my
second
ass.
clip.
Is tout even a thing anymore? I don't even
Not
think it
No.
is.
even. Yeah, they're well and beyond deceased.
But anyhow,
They're-
We're on their deathbed come this point.
dude, they died faster than Vine did. Let's tell you all you need to know, dude.
They
Benny-
died faster than Napster.
Yeah, there you go. There's one.
But anyhow, so WWE was trying to do this partnership with tout where you could tell what you were looking forward to the most. I guess we should explain
on
what
tout. Unironically,
I guess
used to
should we
be on
explain
tout.
what tout is because a lot of people might not even know what it is because it died so fast.
Okay.
Basically, what tout
It's just it basically ready. It's Twitter, but with video. That's it.
Yeah, instead
That's
of
all it
140
was.
characters to put out a tweet, you got 15 seconds to record a little video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it. Like I said, it was like the original Snapchat.
Did you ever make a tout? Did you ever like make tout videos, or did you just have?
I actually did. I don't know.
I had a
bet
tout
you they're
account.
Gone.
I had a tout account for about a month, and I was like, okay, this is stupid. I'm not gonna
What
have
was
this
that?
on my phone anymore.
I just
It's like I was making legitimate YouTube videos at the time. It's like, why do I need a tout video?
So James, what touts were you making at the time? I just want to know.
Oh
Like,
God, I don't remember. You really think I'm gonna remember what the fuck touts I was making? I was probably touting what I had for dinner or some shit. I don't know.
Right?
Like,
there's no
hey,
W-
look at this
food post.
plate of food.
there was no WYW to tout back then. So
Yeah, no, there would be a WYW to tout now, but you know, man, 15-second clips of that on top. I might have been able to save the plate. Couldn't have gotten any worse.
But anyhow, like you saw various fans making touts. The most notable one was Maria Menounos. I guarantee you she only made that tout because WWE told her to make that tout. That's the only reason she probably made that tout. I don't see Maria Menounos just using tout because she wanted to use tout.
Not at
Come
all.
on.
Not at all. You know the WWE invested like some ridiculous. I think they invested like something ridiculous, like $4 to $5 million, all down the drain.
Yeah.
It was
down
about
the
as
drain.
profitable as the first run of the XFL.
Yeah,
That was so.
dude. And honestly, I'm not even joking. It might have, honest to God, have been worse than the XFL
Yeah.
from a financial standpoint. I'm not even gonna stunt. Chief.
I'm gonna disagree only because the XFL at least had one full season to generate some revenue. Tout was here and gone in like 3-4 months. Like, it didn't even last a whole year.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We're on the same page. I think it was worse than the XFL, because XFL at least had that season. There was nothing for Tout. Tout was dead the minute it was created.
For sure.
Let's never forget, Tout was only created because Vince wanted control of social media, so he wanted to try to poach that as well, just like he did the freaking territories. So he's like, oh, well, this must work the same way, right? So that's the only reason he invested in Tout in the first place, was because he was trying to take over the social media market similar fashion, and that died a death because everybody was like, nah, we know what you're trying to do. Fuck off.
He didn't just fail. He miserably failed. It was an epic fail. It was a disaster.
Planted. He ran, face planted. Actually, no, he bicycled, face planted, got back up, tried to dust it off like Vince does, and he's like
when he tore his quads coming down at the Rumble.
Yeah, exactly. He tore his quads again, and he's like, I'm good. Go to Twitter.
Yeah,
I think the only thing I ever used Tout for was to promote the YouTube shows I was doing, trying to gain more audience with the WWE universe.
As you do with most social media.
Yeah. You know, going out there, hey, this Sunday is SummerSlam. You want to know what I think? Go to youtube.com/ whatever it was at the time, because I don't think I had the Casa D18 Studios as the link yet. I don't think I had enough subscribers to be able to change it yet.
Go to
youtube.com/ whatever.
A young Tony Khan was on Tout, and he's tweeting at you. Why don't you actually talk about the video on Tout? It's 15 seconds. You can talk about it in 15 seconds.
It's so bad.
Why can't you talk about it in 15 seconds?
Why do you sound like the South Park Mickey Mouse?
Because that's exactly what Tony Khan sounds like, dude. You know that, and I know that.
Oh god. Okay.
Yeah, getting to the actual show. Getting off Tout. We had the commentary team of Jerry the King Lawler and Michael Cole, which typically isn't a bad commentary team, but in this case it was because this is when Michael Cole was still in his heel stage.
Well, not only was he in his heel stage, but let's just call a spade a spade. This was not This was not Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler. This was Vince McMahon #1 and Vince McMahon #2.
Yeah,
that's all this was.
I will say though, he wasn't as annoyed. Like you could see, he was phasing out of his heel stage because he wasn't as heelish as he normally was. There was points where he was normal Michael Cole. But
I looked it up, and I think this is like shortly after the.
It's shortly before.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it took the Lawler heart attack for Cole to really ditch the heel persona.
Well, he had to. He didn't really have a choice at that moment.
Wasn't far from this.
Yeah. And I typically don't do this, but I'm going to mention the Spanish commentators because they're actually important because it's Carlos Cabrera and Marcelo Rodriguez, and they're actually pretty famous. They just if you want to know where they are, they just reunited recently in AAA, I believe. Wasn't it Marcelo Rodriguez was released, and then Carlos Cabrera lasted a little longer.
I believe so, yeah. Yep.
I remember one of. I think it was Carlos actually. I have that reversed. Carlos was released not that long ago. Like he was released a couple years later, and then earlier this year, Marcelo Rodriguez was released, and they just they reunited at AAA. I don't know which one it was. I think it was not the Invasion in New York.
It had to have been either Invasion in New York or Triple Mania that year, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then as for the ring announcers, we already mentioned Tony Chimmel, but Justin Roberts.
He's in AEW. There you go.
Dapper Yapper.
And then Lillian Garcia. This was her second one in the company, and she basically became a part-timer after this, and now she does her podcast. Doesn't Jeff Beecham have some type of beef with? He's not a big fan of Lillian Garcia. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Oh, he loves Lillian.
Yeah, I think you're confusing Lillian with a different person. In terms
I,
of,
I,
Yeah,
I remember those.
Jeff loves Lillian to death. As a matter of fact, whenever we do um, big events or like patriotic stuff, we always turn to Lillian's September 13th, 2001 performance of the national anthem
that was so
as like
Yeah.
one
goddamn
of our
good.
go-to versions of the anthem. You
Dude,
know,
she
just
should have
watching
gotten
her sing it.
she should have gotten so much more entertainment. I'm not even after that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not even kidding you. Like she should have been getting deals to do that in every sporting event ever.
For real.
And I typically don't say who the referees are, but they're all famous. They're all pretty well-known referees. Jack Cohn is a referee for this show. He's still there.
Jack Cohn, he's a cone.
Yeah. Charles Robinson is a referee. He's now a senior referee because of the release of Mike Chioda. Speaking of Mike Chioda, he's also on this show. He will last a little longer than he got released while he was recovering from shoulder surgery, and he's shown up on AEW from time to time.
He showed up Ric Flair's last match too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Kyoto refereed Ric Flair's final match a week ago.
And then Jack Doan is still there. And Chad Patton is also still there. So those are all pretty well-known referees right there. As for where Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler was, as we said,
Michael Cole got instantly better when Vince retired.
Yeah.
And Jerry Lawler is a pre-show panel guy on WWE and essentially just kind of doing that and also still wrestling at his age even after a freaking heart attack.
I know.
You
I know that's the biggest.
madman. Stop.
That's the biggest thing to talk about is, his heart attack would happen shortly after this, and Michael Cole had to go back to being a babyface right afterwards. I think that's the biggest thing to talk about.
Probably.
I know they were in the last retro, but I think we forgot to say where they were, so that's why I mentioned it now.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
And then going into the actual show, we had the opening video package, and I think you guys would know this. What was the tagline for SummerSlam in 2012? Because they threw it at your face several times throughout this show.
You know, it's funny. They threw it at me several. You're absolutely right. I don't freaking remember.
Do you remember what it was, JJ?
I don't remember if it was anything different. I just remember them always using the biggest party of the summer.
That was one of them, but there was a big one. It was the Perfect Storm because that was what they were.
That's right.
That's right. The Perfect Storm.
Yeah. I'm gonna get this
Go
out of the way.
figure. That's one of the things that I didn't take a note on.
I got my own mental note for this, and I'm just gonna get it out of the way before we even get into the matches. And it was really noticeable, especially in the first match. And that's when I realized, wow, this is gonna be a absolute slog to get through with commentary on. I had to mute half the show because it was that unbearable.
Yeah.
When Cole and Jerry are on commentary and they're calling this match and they're doing the most robotic thing I've ever heard, and it was really, really robotic. Like they were characters before in 2002. They were individuals. I could understand what they were. Even Cole. Like, Cole was probably his best run outside of the UK tournament was probably that time period and with Taz, right?
Yeah. Maybe not.
I don't even recognize what these guys sound like right now.
I know it's bad.
It was unbearable shilling. It was just not a single move was called. Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler literally are being probably screamed at by Vince, and you could tell that's what's happening because there's like 5 to 10 seconds of complete dead air silence. God, that's so unbearable.
Yeah, it's bad.
And it wasn't like a moment where you needed to be silent and a call for it. No, they were just silent because they were trying to understand the ramblings of a madman in their ear. And
so no wonder.
Oh, God.
No wonder why. I mean, I get you broadcasting for so long. It does. No wonder why Michael Cole's lost some of his hearing because of Vince.
Yeah, no, he said
right? Screaming in the headset.
Yeah, screaming. What was it? Like 60% of his hearing is gone now because of it. So it's like, and it's, he's finally having fun. Thank God. It's about the goddamn time for Cole. But like, seriously, it's like I'm listening to this. I'm like, this is the first thing I notice. I'm
Yeah,
like, I can't
bad.
listen anymore. Mute.
I bet you especially notice it after watching like AEW all day or the past 2 SummerSlam shows.
Yeah, which is what I was doing during that time.
And another way that this type of stuff jumps out at you, James, is the fact that you've been calling action now on the watch-alongs.
Yeah.
So now you're going to pick up things like the nuances of the commentary team, you know, and it's like you notice little things like that. It's like, oh man, I hope me and Noah don't sound like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, here's another thing too, JJ. Like I noticed this, but I don't think I noticed it as much as I did. I don't know what it is that clicked, but I think it was like a combination. It was the perfect storm, you know, of you know. Also, I'll put in perspective the day I had. So, we found out about when a funeral was happening. So that was plus number 1. Plus number 2 was we had to deal with Xfinity for about, I'd say about 6 hours, right when I got home on a Sunday. So that was fun. That was to get my dad's current phone, right? And that was all happening. And now I'm hearing this goddamn diatribe that's being...
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Like, I am in the worst mood for this. I gotta at least put this on mute. So I literally had the whole half of the show on mute up until I think the last few matches, and even then I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. Going through it, we had the opening video package where, you know, they do a pretty good job exciting you for SummerSlam. They advertised the triple threat, Lesnar versus Triple H, and that's about it because those were the main matches that they were advertising. What a difference!
They advertised the triple threat, huh? Could have like 5. They advertised it for like all of 5 seconds, and that was by showing the people on the graphic and not even in order with a bunch of other slugs.
Yeah.
That's what they thought of that match. That's what they thought of their champion. They didn't even give him at all any freaking promotion time. And I noticed this. There's a big thing. In total, besides the match, so minus the match, the total promotion material that CM Punk actually got was 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's bad.
Unacceptable.
No. That's always been one of Punk's beefs with the company, was that he just wasn't pushed. Going back to even his World Heavyweight title runs.
Yeah.
Like, you're the World Heavyweight Champion, and you're the start of the 2nd hour of Raw, not even the 3rd hour.
Dude, he can't even main event a Big 4. He couldn't even main event SummerSlam here.
Yeah. Going through it, we had the opening match. It was Dolph Ziggler with Vicky Guerrero versus Chris Jericho. Going through the build-up of the match. Basically, just take everything what we said from the Chris Jericho, Ric Flair build-up from SummerSlam 02, and that's basically the build-up. It was still really good storytelling, though, because this was actually happening with Chris Jericho, where he came back to WWE in 2012 and just couldn't win the big one, which it was kind of cool that they turned it into a storyline, because there were points where he probably should have won the big one, like the Royal Rumble that year, maybe. Just saying. But yeah, Dolph Ziggler was taunting Chris Jericho, saying that he couldn't win the big one, and they built up to it where, like, on the 1000th episode of Raw, he took the pin in a 6-man tag. On an episode of on the Go Home episode, he had a triple threat match with him, Ziggler, and The Miz, which wasn't for the IC title for some reason. And he took the pin in that match via Dolph Ziggler. So basically, Jericho just wasn't winning the big one. They did a really good job hyping this up. But Chris Jericho talked about how, this is Dolph Ziggler's first shot at the big one, where he's had many shots at the big one. And if you screw it up, you'll be a footnote in the WWE. Oh, we're going to talk about that in a second.
Oh, boy. Yep.
But yeah, so that's basically what the build-up to this match was. As for the match itself, it's a pretty damn good match. Probably not one of the best opening matches at SummerSlam. It could have been, I think some key things I noticed. If we did this retro a year ago when Chris Jericho was kind of like a bit out of shape and stuff, we would have said, oh, Jericho looks like in so much better shape now. But now that he's actually like gotten himself in shape, I would say he looks older. But he still kind of looks the same here. that he did 10
I'd
years ago.
venture to say just because of the fact he has abs now, he looks better than
Yeah,
right
that's what I'm
now
saying.
than he does
Um,
here. Actually,
I noticed in AEW he looks bigger. He looks bigger. Like I feel like the AEW just makes it does a better job of making Jericho look bigger. Like just the way he looks, I would say that's definitely a plus.
I
Uh,
mean, it's
I
also
will
probably
say,
just his age. To be fair,
yeah, he does move faster in 2012 because he's younger, but I don't think that's really. I don't think that
that's
really
not a
has to
shock.
do with his wrestling. As for the match itself, Jericho immediately starts off the match by attacking Dolph Ziggler. Um, he dominates him throughout the beginning portions of the match of hitting a suplex. He goes for the springboard dropkick,
Yeah.
but he misses. I don't even know if he does that springboard dropkick anymore, probably because he really can't nowadays.
There's a couple times where he has done it in Dynamite. I think I've called a couple of spots where he just does
Yeah.
a triangle drop kick on a whim sometimes.
Um,
The Lion Salt is mostly
Yeah.
a rarity now, only because he had that big ass scare.
yeah.
Like it was like Ryu Hayabusa levels of scary, but luckily he was able to get enough clearance to not completely screw himself up. But
Ziggler takes control of the matchup. He hits a really cool neck breaker on a Jericho. He does the jumping DDT, which I made note of because this was when this was fairly new to his arsenal. He hadn't been doing that all that much. Jericho mounts a comeback. He hits the running bulldog, the drop kick outside the ring. He goes for the lion salt. Another note I made is immediately Jericho. He does a version of the Judas effect in this match too, where he does the springboard elbow.
I caught that. Yeah, it was it's a running
was like
version
right
of it, right? It was a running version.
Yeah, it was. So,
Yeah. That was neat.
So that's the only thing you can make the argument that AEW lied about is that he's that the Judas effect is new because he has done the Judas. You can make the I don't know if they lied about it because I think he did say he's perfected it now. I don't think he ever said he never did it before. He just perfected it.
He was doing it a lot from the top rope before, and I think a lot of people don't realize like how often he's been doing the spinning back elbow. Like that used to just be a signature top rope move of his for the longest time.
Ziggler hits the zigzag on Jericho. He kicks out. I forgot to mention too. Jericho had his ribs taped up in this match because he had gotten attacked by Ziggler on SmackDown, which was kind of weird because he never goes after the ribs in the match. That was kind of a bad storytelling. I mean, like why do that if you're not going to go after the injured ribs? That was really weird. Jericho hits the code breaker, but the momentum knocks Ziggler out of the ring, so he has to put him back into the ring. But Vicky Guerrero tries to interfere. Ziggler rolls him up, but Jericho kicks out, hits an Itsuguri, followed by the Lion Tamer, and Ziggler ends up tapping out. Chris Jericho wins.
Brutal Lion Tamer, by the way. He was wrenching on that one.
Really didn't understand this at the time. Definitely don't understand it now because Ziggler was the Money in the Bank winner. They really needed to build him up to go after that world championship, and it was just a tendency WWE had to do with the Money in the Bank winners. They always lost before they cashed in, and then when they cashed in, they were like a paper champion pretty much. And yeah, I just didn't understand this at all because Ziggler wasn't really being booked all that strong going into this. I remember too there was various occasions where Ziggler he only really got the upper hand on Jericho by help. Like even by help, Jericho still would get the advantage on him. And especially too because the next night on Raw they did a match anyways where Ziggler fought Jericho. Where if Jericho lost, he had to leave, and Jericho lost that match. Like I think they should have had. I think they did this wrong. They should have had Jericho versus Ziggler where Jericho lost, he left. Like they really screwed that up here. But yeah, it's still a pretty good match. I give it like 3 1/4. Good opener. I think I would have rated it higher had Jericho lost. And I definitely don't think this was a.
How about Ziggler working the damn ribs?
Yeah, that didn't happen.
I'm surprised he didn't do that more often. Is there anything else you've pointed out, JJ, in your notes, or?
I remember watching this match, and I've gone back and I've been kind of reliving some of the old Dad's episodes that me and Jeff were doing at the time, and we had both the predictions and a post show for this. And I remember us talking about the fact that, there was heavy rumors at the time that Jericho was going to take another one of his hiatuses. go on tour with Fozzy.
Right.
You figure they had just released an album, Sin and Bones, that Tuesday, and then SummerSlam was that Sunday. So there was all this rumor about Jericho was going to be taking time off, go out with Fozzy, do a little tour, promote the album, etc. You know, like Owen pointed out, Jericho hadn't won a pay-per-view match since his return. And Dolph was the money here, you know, the whole, you're going to be a footnote if you can't beat me. So everybody going in thought, okay, Jericho's going to keep with this trend. He's not going to win the big one. Dolph is going to pick this victory up. Jericho's going to go off and do this tour. And they totally just almost Russo swerved us with the way they booked this.
Yep.
Not
almost.
totally
It was a Russo swerve. It was the class right out of the playbook. And then they did
it
it
wasn't
at a lesser pay-per-view where Ziggler finally beat him.
No, not even a pay-per-view. It was at a Raw. It was Raw the next night.
It wasn't even on pay-per-view. It was on a Raw.
So it was Raw the next night. It's like, okay, so you waited to pop a rating?
Yeah.
As opposed to doing it on the pay-per-view, which granted, you know, pay-per-views were $40 at the time, $50 for the big four. Like, you're getting our money for this, and then you're just going to give us this crap?
Especially, too, I didn't even mention this. When even after Jericho loses, he beats the crap out of Ziggler anyway. So Ziggler didn't even gain anything out of by beating Jericho. Like,
no, and with two class athletes like this, you know, another thing that I have jotted down here, you know, like Owen pointed out, like this was a heck of a match. This was really good, but the pacing was so much slower than what you would expect from Jericho and Ziggler.
Yep.
Like, you would expect these two to get in there and just be boom, 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 boom. And I get they were trying to play up the injured ribs a little bit. But like you guys pointed out, Ziggler never once went to those to, like, try to weaken him.
Sleeper holding headlocks the whole time for his heat spot.
Like at the very least, if you're going to put a sleeper on him, then wrap your legs around his midsection, put a little bit of pressure on those ribs, too.
Get Y2 Stinger in a damn gator hold, okay? God damn.
Something, but I mean, this match, more so than almost any match, as far as a technical wrestling standpoint, had match of the night written all over it. And it just didn't deliver.
Yeah,
and
I give it like...
It didn't deliver.
And the fact that that wasn't the match of the night, that's a crying shame, but... In fairness, there is a match of the night that I didn't ever thought I'd expect to say, and that's without, you know...
I know.
We're getting to that. We're getting to that. We're getting to that.
But then...
I almost wore my shirt of that particular person just to, like, throw it out there and rub it in, but I wasn't going to be a dick like that.
You know what? I'm not... You don't have to rub it in. I'm cool with it at this point.
But yeah, as for where both guys are... we already mentioned Jericho. Nothing really new has happened with Jericho since that retro SummerSlam 2002. The only real thing that's been different is he's going to fight John Moxley for the interim AEW World Championship this Wednesday at the time of recording, so we'll see how that goes. As for Dolph Ziggler, he would go on to hold the briefcase up until the night after WrestleMania 29, where he never really won any matches or anything like that. He had probably like the third greatest cash-in in Money in the Bank history.
And
when he passed in on
how
Del Rio.
much they buried him. And by the way, this is how much they did not give a damn about Ziggler and didn't even know what to do with him. By the time this event happens and his cash-in happens, has a new woman and a head randomly. If you were a casual and you did not follow anything up until this point, you saw nothing, and you just see him walking out with AJ Lee and Big E, your first thing is like, where the fuck is Vicky?
Yeah.
You're like Eddie Guerrero in 2005. Where the fuck is Vicky?
Yep. But anyhow, Ziggler won the World Heavyweight Championship, and unfortunately his world title run didn't last long because he got a concussion shortly afterwards.
And then Vince is like, we can't trust you again, pal. Sorry.
Yeah. So they took the belt off him. They did a double turn with him and Del Rio, but then he never won the belt back. He basically stayed in the mid-card for a while.
Then they made him a crybaby.
Yeah, he's never really...
that's my favorite iteration. Let's have him legitimately go out there, cry, show true emotion, because that's genuinely how he felt, even though he kind of puts himself in these situations half the time when he can leave at any point. But, but they send him out there and have him cry in front of everybody. It should be me! Like, oh yeah, that's going to put the butts in the seats.
Yeah, it didn't either.
Jesus Christ.
That's what WWE was doing. As Adam Cleary said, they did a WCPW show bigger than that. That was so funny. Anyhow,
Dirty Dogs was a good run for him too.
Yeah, he's had numerous U.S. tag title and U.S. title reigns since this point.
Oh wait, he's finally a world champion if you count NXT.
Yeah, NXT. He had a good NXT title run.
For about 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That lasted 3 weeks too. I'm sorry. He's a transitional guy, right? I forgot.
Yeah, can't hit onto the big one. But yeah, he's been basically a WWE mainstay since this point. He's had tag team runs with Drew McIntyre and Robert Roode / Bobby Roode, since his name's changed so much. Now he's a babyface and he's feuding with Theory. I'm not really sure.
First off, you forgot about one important name. Because if you're Jeremy Borash, it's Bobby Roode.
That's true, yeah. Continuing, afterwards, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman get interviewed, and basically, Paul Heyman talks about how the annihilation that Triple H is going to receive by the end of the night is going to be something that he's never felt before. This was kind of cool because this is when Paul Heyman was back with Brock for the first time since like 2004, 2003-ish.
2002, actually. He turned on him in the Survivor Series that year, believe it or not.
Yeah, but there was like a short stint where they were like together in 2002.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're correct. Yeah, Paul Heyman SmackDown. How could I forget?
And then this is when Brock Lesnar had just returned to Paul Heyman, but we'll talk more about that later. It was kind of cool because Brock did some of the talking here, which really doesn't what's obviously until Cowboy Brock really didn't happen all that often, which, with how bad he was on the mic at the time, doesn't shock anybody, but we'll talk about that later. Then we had the next match. It was Daniel Bryan versus Kane. Really good SummerSlam match here.
It was actually probably the second best match of the night, for sure.
Yeah. Pretty good match here. The storyline behind this was when Daniel Bryan was really popular, like not 2014 levels, but still really popular. And
it was starting to bubble at this point. Like it was really taking off the thing. Even though they tried everything to kill it. They were doing anything they could to try to kill this thing. The
biggest thing they did try to do to kill it, because it's on this show, is the no chant. They really tried to kill it when he started doing the no chant.
And all it did was just increase it. By like tenfold.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan and, so Daniel Bryan, the storyline behind this was Daniel Bryan was about to marry AJ Lee in the 1000th episode of Raw, but she denied the proposal. She denied it and became the GM of Raw instead.
Right.
And there's a trivia question for everyone. Does everyone remember which celebrity Daniel Bryan was supposed to face on the show instead of Kane?
Oh, I know this one.
James, you want to answer?
Winning Charlie Sheen.
Yep. Because Charlie Sheen was calling Daniel Bryan a goat face, and Charlie Sheen was launching his anger management show at this time.
Which, by the way, only started because he got... I have to stress this.
Yeah.
He had so much public backlash because he literally got kicked off of 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
For being screwed up on so much dope he didn't even know where the hell he was.
Yeah.
To the point where they have never aired that episode of 2.5 Men since. So well, they bring him into... He starts his own show, Anger Management, on FX.
Yep.
And they allow this dude to be on there, and they want him in a wrestling ring with a dude who is known to have multiple concussions in the same ring with him.
Yeah, the same, because let's also talk about too. I don't know if you know this. The last season before like Charlie Sheen had his drug problems too. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm about to get there. The scenes where they had to film Charlie Sheen like sitting down because he's so coked up on drugs and things like that. Like it's but anyhow, they couldn't come to terms on a deal to for Charlie Sheen wanted more money than what the WWE was going to give him. Which I don't blame WWE for backing out because who knows if he would have even shown up.
He never brought him in the first place.
Yeah,
is the moral of the story here? What the hell was anybody thinking here?
This is an example where Vince's pulse is not on. Vince is always got his pulse when it comes to mainstream because I don't even think Vince even knew any of this Charlie Sheen stuff.
He probably thought, oh yeah, that 2.5 Men guy. Vince is that 2.5 Men. So that 2.5 Men guy.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
So they changed plans and instead had Daniel Bryan face Kane. There really wasn't a lot of storyline in this match, but I think because of hindsight, this was kind of setting the stage for Team Hell No, which was really kind of cool watching this in hindsight. But at the time, we really didn't know why this was happening. Everybody wanted Daniel Bryan to be in the main event. They wanted him to face Punk for the belt, or have Cena, Big Show, Punk, and Bryan in a 4-way match for the belt. I've seen a
lot of Kane matches. I don't think I've seen a Kane match where he has been run this damn ragged in my life. That just shows how much like Bryan Danielson is an absolute marvel in that ring because he is making Glenn Jacobs just gasp for air and try to keep up with him, which honestly made the match better. Honestly, this is like super entertaining just for that fact alone, and it was actually a decent match with a decent story.
It was good.
So there was that.
They also played up on commentary that Daniel Bryan had never defeated Kane in a one-on-one match because, and also too, the reason this was happening, I forgot to mention this, because both people
both of them were in anger management with Dr. Shelby.
No,
that was after this.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And Harold, Scorpio Sky.
Yes, Harold, yes.
They were both past boyfriends of AJ Lee by this point because, because they were doing that with AJ Lee at the time for some weird reason.
Wait, Kane was a love interest of
kayfabe. Mm-hmm. This is kayfabe.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it happened. So the match starts. Kane
I want to say it was shortly after WrestleMania, after Bryan had that whatever it was, 20-second, 8-second loss to Sheamus and broke up. I want to say her and Kane started shortly after that, and she manipulated another man.
Yep. So the match starts. Kane dominates Daniel Bryan by using a lot of his power moves on Bryan, but eventually Bryan hits a suicide dive on the floor, targets Kane's leg, really goes after his leg. Daniel Bryan hits the flying headbutt on Kane, which is kind of disturbing to watch, because that's what's led to some of his recent health issues and stuff.
Yeah.
He hits that drop kick, which is also disturbing to watch, because that's also basically anything Bryan did at this time was a health hazard for his injuries and stuff.
Jesus.
Daniel Bryan hits the
laugh, but the way you just described that is like it's accurate. It's just so accurate.
Daniel Bryan hits the yes/no kicks onto Kane. Kane mounts a comeback, hits the sidewalk slam with Bryan, the flying clothesline. And then the finish comes. Daniel Bryan slaps Kane to get him pissed off enough, and Kane just starts attacking Bryan viciously in the corner. And eventually, Daniel Bryan drops co-host Kane. He kicks the rope into his face, which is I always like that spot that Bryan added to his matches. I don't know why he hasn't. I think he's done that more in AEW. I don't know why they didn't have him continue to do that in WWE. I guess because it's like a heel thing, and he's been a babyface most of the time he's been in WWE. So I guess that's why he hasn't done it. But I kind of wish they would have kept that.
I think he started doing that again during his Planet gimmick there.
I'm saying like he's mainly been a babyface in WWE, so that's why he doesn't do it all that much. Then eventually Bryan went for the diving headbutt a second time. Kane caught him into a choke slam. Then he went for the tombstone. Bryan rolled Kane up in a small package, got the win surprisingly, and Kane was pissed about this. Bryan runs off. Kane goes backstage. I'll just talk about this now because this is funny, because this is actually part of the match. He's pissed off, and he's just throwing stuff around looking for Daniel Bryan. And Josh Matthews tries to interview Kane, and Kane asks where Bryan is, and Matthews says he left. And Kane just tosses Josh Matthews over.
Fuck you, Josh Matthews. Fuck you.
It was hilarious. It was awesome.
Kane doing a service for all his fans.
Yeah, there you go.
It was awesome. Any additional thoughts you guys have about this match?
JJ, you probably have more than I do. I
Not really. I mean, this is another one of those matches where I expected a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, you figure the way that Bryan is able to work a match, and I get that with Kane in the ring, you're going to do things a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, a little bit more with purpose. But I felt like this match dragged a little bit too, and there was definitely some periods of the match where Bryan could have been turning up the gas like somebody of his caliber and his pedigree should be able to do against Kane. You figure Kane's height, his weight, his age, Bryan should be running circles around him, and while he did gas him up a little bit, there were so many other opportunities where he should have taken advantage of momentum and just been non-stop pedal to the floor 150 miles an hour in the rain on Kane, and he wasn't.
No. Agreed.
And I gave the match like 3 stars. I thought it was a good match. I thought it could have been better.
I give it like, if I had to give it like a star rating, which I don't, I gave it some sort of star rating. I would just give it a 3.5 for the entertainment factor of it.
Sure.
And man, because Josh Matthews got shit on, even though it wasn't part of the match per se.
As for where but obviously this would lead to the Team Hell No tag team, and just all of a sudden like a resurgence of the tag division, because you saw like several tag teams form out of the Team Hell No tag division, Team World Scholars. Even though they were already forming, Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel. You saw like this just all these tag teams just all of a sudden come up out of nowhere. It's so awesome.
I'd argue that they tried to, and then they never promoted a single tag team, other than Team Hell No. Let's just call it as it is. I mean, you know, the tag division
promoted tag teams so that Hell No had someone to feud with, but the other tag teams were never taken serious enough to be true contenders
at all. Exactly, JJ, and that's the key thing here. AEW's women's division pre-Madison Rain, because obviously that's about to change quickly in a hurry, is like WWE's tag division around this time.
Yeah.
It's literally the same problem.
But yeah, anyhow, they went on to form Team Hell No. They had a really fun run as a tag team, which, I think is what probably finally led to Vince McMahon, like, at least having a little faith in Daniel Bryan and finally pushing him, because they saw he could actually be a sports entertainer, which we already knew that, but I guess that's what...
he was entertaining, and he had comedy chops in spades.
So then eventually when the Team Hell No thing ended, it led to the, Daniel Bryan authority angle where we had the Miracle on Bourbon Street at WrestleMania 30.
And from there became a 2-time WWE champion. Would have to retire shortly after, pretty much. After an Intercontinental title run as well, and then came out of retirement, won the title again as a heel, and became the Planet's champion, becoming a 3-time WWE champion, probably giving Kobe his biggest moment and biggest rub of his entire career.
Absolutely. And then, he went on to be the tag champions with Eric Rowan, and then he was in that weird storyline of who attacked Roman Reigns, which we don't talk about. And then he basically had like one final run in WWE where he went for the challenge for the Universal Championship on occasions. Had a great IC title like tournament run during the pandemic, and then basically had one final WrestleMania moment where he challenged in a triple threat Roman Reigns and Edge for the Universal Championship. And then he had his
2021 was the year of Bryan Danielson, because he wrestled 5-star matches.
Yep.
In the 2 top promotions in America, period.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people could say that they've had that many belters in 2 different promotions in the same year.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
then
that's freaking mind-boggling. And he was wrestling the top faces in both promotions, Kenny Omega and Roman Reigns.
yeah. And
Nuts.
then he went on to AEW, and he's just had a great run in AEW with the Blackpool Combat Club. He's been kind of he was injured for a while. He just had his comeback match against Daniel Garcia and put over Daniel Garcia. Believe it or not,
what a win for him, dude! Wow.
Which is kind of
what
being
a match that was.
I was there live for that match too.
You lucky son of a bitch.
That one still kind of dumbfounded me because you would think that with him having his huge comeback match, they would have instantly put him over, try to get him back in the mix of things. So for Garcia to take that victory, was just a huge thing.
The only thing is it has had some. It's one of those divisive things where some fans love the fact that Daniel Garcia got that win, and some fans hate the fact that Daniel Garcia got
I
that
personally
win.
love it because I know how good he was. I knew how good he was when he first showed up, and I saw him have that match with Mox, and I'm like, this guy's your next American Dragon. He's like right up there. He could go toe to toe with Danielson, and he did.
I think the reason everyone's crapping on it is because it came so out of nowhere because he had just lost the pure title match to Willie Unite, saying it made no sense. It was also Bryan Danielson's comeback match.
But I think that's where it made the most sense, though, to me.
Yeah.
The guy lost the pure title. He was a sore loser already. He was ready to kill somebody anyway. And Bryan Danielson just happened to be in his path. Red Death can't call it. I love that storytelling. It doesn't just have to be as one-dimensional as a lot of people are making it out to be, and I can't wait for their freaking rematch that's coming at All Out.
Yeah.
God, give it to me. Give it to me now. More of that match, please. Yes. Have sporadic matches all throughout the year between those two, and I'm perfectly content.
Continuing going over, we had the Intercontinental Championship match. It was The Miz defending against Rey Mysterio. Not much of a storyline going on here. The Miz had won the Intercontinental Championship on the 1000th episode of Raw. Rey beat him a couple times, and that's the storyline because this is what storylines apparently they don't exist.
There wasn't a storyline, but here's the real moment of the show here, and I've been hyping it up on the Jeff Beecham Network. Oh, and I think this might be the first time you're hearing it because your life has been complete hecticville. I officially and without hesitation apologize for ever doubting Mike Mizanin's in-ring abilities after seeing this match carrying an injured Mysterio. I am so sorry that I ever said you sucked in the ring because I was wrong, and I admit that I was wrong because holy shit, Danielson. I will say that Danielson definitely helped, but man, I doubted you for the longest time, probably longer than I should have, because this man carried Mysterio. This was like shortly after he was injured. I think he might have even been going in hurt into this match. And then he would take a short hiatus here. And yeah, The Miz carried this, man. And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And we're talking like he's doing moves, wrestling moves, cravat, headlocks. We're talking that slingshot powerbomb you see Doc Harwood do all the time. The works. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, wow, okay. Cool. I'm glad to know I was wrong, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff
on
here.
On behalf of all longtime Mike Mizanin fans, we accept your apology.
Yeah, please.
Good stuff here. I gave it like 3 stars. You basically just covered the gist of the match. The Miz ended up winning with the skull-crushing finale, which made sense. This was when the Miz too, Pat was getting a recovery push because if you remember, the Miz was really being buried before he came back because he had botched the more than R-Truth, and Miz got punished for it by putting in embarrassing skits. Remember, they did a storyline with him where he almost didn't even make WrestleMania. That's how badly he was being buried.
I do remember that one. Yep.
So this was the Miz getting recovered. To be honest, I don't know if the Miz ever really did recover. You could make the argument that he didn't.
I say
I,
he did recover by 2016.
yeah, he
Definitely
did.
recovered by 2016. I would venture to say that was
And
when
then
he really shined.
and then they didn't capitalize on it, unfortunately, by giving him the world title. They should have
They gave him the world title later, and you know what? I'll say a lot, and yes, I agree with what you're saying, but The Miz is probably going to be a Hall of Famer just for that Intercontinental title run he had during the SmackDown era in 2016.
Absolutely.
That is going to be what he's remembered for. That promo he cut on Danielson, the feud that followed with Ziggler, which should have led to a feud with Bryan, but it didn't. They tried to bury him again, and to no avail with Shane. But he even had a pretty damn good tag title run, and that was like the most interesting story going into that Mania as well. A large part due to the Miz. And just kept going from there. Like he then eventually got that title, and then he got another world title. Yes, he transitioned right back to Bobby Lashley, but he got that world title. And now he's the sole reason why, well, Logan looks as good as he does, to the point where people that detracted him now saying he's one of the best celebrity performers that has ever stepped foot in that fucking ring.
Absolutely.
He's up there.
I think that's a pretty damn good career for Miz. So
yeah,
Mike Mizanin is what you call a utility player. He's the type of guy that you can just pencil in any area within the company, and he shines. You think about him as the in-arena host for SmackDown as he was starting to cut his teeth. You think of him as a trainer on NXT, IC US Tag Team Champion, 2-time World Champion, 2-time Grand Slam Champion. He's very much a Mick Foley when it comes to that WWE Championship. He's not the guy that's going to carry it like Roman Reigns for damn near 2 years. He's the guy that you can hand the ball off to, and he'll run it out of bounds and gain 5, 6, 7, 8 yards on the play, get you closer to that first down, get you closer to the goal line.
Right.
He's not the guy that you throw the company on his back to carry it, a la Cena, a la Orton, a la Roman. He's the guy that you can entrust to get you from SummerSlam to Survivor Series, and then get it over to the next guy that's going to carry it into WrestleMania for the big money.
And even then, I mean,
he even had his big moment against Cena at Mania, defeating arguably the face of the last 20 years.
So I would venture to say that it kind of makes Miz a face of the company by default anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny, because personally, I would love for them to kind of, I would love for him to get that recognition now, because I feel like so many people, like myself included, kind of shit on him for so long, right?
Yep.
But like, seeing this match, I'm like, man, this guy deserves everything he has, and then some, probably.
Yeah. I mean, you figure going into this match, they were promoting the Marine 3. He picked up the franchise that Cena started, did 4 of the 6 movies that are in that franchise.
Yeah.
Along with other WWE films that he's done, Ms. and Mrs. following Raw every week. He's on the Cricket television commercials that air during Raw and SmackDown. He's one of those personalities that, even though he may not be the top draw, is a guy that brings outside eyes into the company.
Absolutely.
I mean, he really should be pushed as that too.
Give another 5 or 10 years, and they're going to be talking about him like they did The Rock when Rock came in to guest host WrestleMania. We look to outside celebrities and people in Hollywood to bring eyes on the product, and we're just thankful we had one of those names within our extended family. That's going to be The Miz in another 5-10 years.
True.
Yep. Yeah.
Rey Mysterio, I mean...
We've already talked about it.
We already talked about him. Go check out 2000...
I will say, what a difference health-wise he is now in 2012. Like, he was just so injury-prone back then. It was
you
just...
could literally see he was barely able to walk here.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So...
The only real note I have as far as Mysterio goes for this match is that he was doing his superhero gimmick and he was dressed like Batman. Hot on the heels. Dark Knight Rises had opened about a month prior to this match.
Fair.
So that was the end of the Nolan Christian Bale saga, and here's Rey Mysterio dressed as Batman going into this match against a man who he pretty much figured was probably like his own Joker. You know, the way the Miz's character had been portrayed for so long. And Miz able to retain and defeat Batman here in the middle of SummerSlam.
Yes, he was.
Wasn't Rey Mysterio's first official full-time match back with the Miz on SmackDown? I remember that was in 2019.
No, he faced... it was a tag match. It was him and Sheamus versus, I think it was Del Rio and Ziggler, I believe. Yeah, he came back...
2019?
Oh, 2019?
Yeah, I'm talking about WWE. I'm not talking about,
Oh.
that.
His first... No, it was against, I think it was Nakamura.
Was it?
In 2018, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. More you know.
Continuing, they showed an advertisement for the WWE app. I just mentioned that because this was when they were. This was when the app was doing. They were really trying to get that over. They don't really talk about the app anymore now, do they? Like I'm just saying, like that's just nothing now.
Well, I think
the app basically turned into the network, which then turned into the Cox. So
I remember
it kind of is what it is there.
At the time, the app was a big thing. You could like be interactive, watching Raw and SmackDown, where you could vote on matches, and the matches you'd make the argument whether or not.
It was just beta network.
Yeah,
what they do now on the network on a much grander scale now, compared to back then, where it was just.
It was another instance of WWE trying to control social media. It's the same thing people do on Twitter, throwing up polls and stuff. Here, vote for this. WWE tried to do it through their app so they could get downloads, which leads to advertising revenue.
Next was Eve Torres and Teddy Long backstage. This was when Teddy Long was like the senior advisor to Booker T. He was the GM of SmackDown, and Eve Torres was the assistant. And they were doing that storyline where Eve was trying to screw over Teddy. I don't think it was quite happening, but it was you knew it was going to happen eventually. They were talking about how AJ Lee, they were coming out of AJ Lee's office, and they were talking about how they think AJ Lee was a good GM. Teddy Long was saying that, but Eve Torres didn't really agree with it, so it was kind of like they had a different...
I think the quote was, "She sure is something else, and I love that about her." And then he just goes, "She certainly is."
That
was...
You can see there was some tension there. And if you want to know what that led to, it would lead to that feud where Eve Torres became the Divas champion when she attacked Caitlyn backstage because Caitlyn accidentally won a battle royal she wasn't supposed to win, so they had to wipe themselves out of it. So it led to Eve Torres, being the heel GM, not really GM, but the heel assistant, and then Teddy Long would get the blame for it by Booker T because somehow Booker T didn't see what was going on. But because Eve Torres left the company, I think they had to kind of nix it. She dropped the title randomly and won, and then was out of the company right afterwards. And she's been part-time appearances at Hall of Fame, and now she has like her own business with her husband and does like,
What a great story that led to absolutely nothing. Great.
Yeah. Then Teddy Long.
It sounds very familiar to what they were doing with Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce here lately.
Yeah. And then as for Teddy Long, they tried to put that thing on Teddy Long where it looked like he was going to go heel on Booker T and become a heel GM, but then when Booker T got hurt, they just nixed that. As like basically everyone just kept getting hurt or leaving, so they had to just nix all these stories.
I'm just glad that Booker had to take time out so we didn't get a main event Mafia 2.0.
Yeah, but Teddy Long eventually was written out of being a GM, and then basically I think he lasted like another year where they just didn't do anything with him. He was released, I think, in 2014, 2013-ish, from what I remember.
Well, I don't even know if he was necessary. What, Teddy? Or we talking?
Yeah, he was released. He was released. He was definitely released in 2014 because I remember him being released.
I was so pissed about that to this day. Teddy Long was probably like my favorite babyface GM.
I know,
because he was just so likable, like as a personality, and they just. How do you let a guy like that go? He's such a great ambassador guy for your company. At the least. And don't have anything for him. Like the hell.
And then he does basically part-time appearances for WWE. Anytime they want to make a tag match, he'll come out and make the tag match sometimes.
Or he'll make the tag match even when it's not a tag match.
I know.
That's happened before.
I think they did.
That's honestly just funny.
I think they did something one time where he came out and said there was going to be a tag match, and then whoever the GM was, I think it was Kurt or something at the time, said no, it's not a tag match or something. It was something like that.
Yeah. Kurt had to cut him out. Like, no, Teddy, it's not a tag match. It was like, okay, well, it's a one-on-one match with the Undertaker. Yeah, it was one of the two, or you would get both. That's when you knew you were in the shitstorm with Teddy. Like when you got a tag team match and it was a 6-man tag team match with the Undertaker.
Yeah,
that's when you knew.
I still remember going to a handicap match against Kane and the Undertaker.
No, I'll do you one better, player. You're gonna go in a 3-on-1 handicap match with the Brothers of Destruction and a partner they're choosing. And it's Kurt Angle. He's like, Teddy, I already can't feel my own body as it is. It doesn't matter, player. You're going out in that ring and you're gonna job tonight. He goes out to the ring and it turns out the partner they choose is Sid Vicious.
I remember he doesn't jump off the top rope and break his leg.
Oh, yeah.
I remember
break his leg out of his leg.
I remember doing his Hall of Fame speech one time. It was I said one time, but it was during his Hall of Fame speech. They talked about that story where the APA didn't pay for his parking or whatever, and then he's like, it was traffic ticket. He's like, for not paying my traffic ticket, you guys are gonna have a tag team match with the Undertaker.
No, you know what it is? I guarantee you that he made tag team matches while as GM as a fucking rib because of the parking ticket. I almost bet you that was a rib, and he just kept doing it.
Because I think there was a thing where he had a tendency to get parking tickets or something, and he didn't pay any of his pocket. It was something like that.
Here's an interesting theory for you boys. And this is a sub-tangent that I have to bring up. How is Teddy Long not in AEW as some sort of authority figure for the tag division?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
How, dude? That's a tailor-made thing right up Teddy Long's alley. How do you not put him there?
Forget about AEW. I know that's the easy thing to go to and to look at. Impact could use him a little bit more, I think.
Impact, too, yeah.
Yeah.
Have him both. Just let him do both. Let him get all the tag teams in Impact, all the tag team divisions in Impact and in AEW. Because first off, AEW has trios, and they have a tag team. And then Impact has a tag team, and then a women's tag team. That's heaven for him. It's like, oh my god, all these tag team matches I can book, and there are teams already made. Oh, I just gotta put them in their place, player. All right, we're gonna have a tournament right here. That's perfect.
A one night tournament too. Why not?
A one night tournament.
To have him come out to kick off the women's tag team tournament on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Especially too, he should be booking the World Tag League that New Japan does every year. He should just book that.
Oh my god, how has he not done one of those, man? As a special guest, he's doing the, what does Noah call those? He's doing the bracketology.
Yeah.
he's the guy doing the bracketology. You see, this tag team is good for these reasons, player.
That'd be awesome. So basically, we just said with Teddy Long. I don't think we really said where he was, but I think we said where we wanted him.
You know enough, and that's all you need to know.
And we said where Eve was. Let's continue talking about the segment. So CM Punk comes up. He goes into AJ Lee's office.
Oh yeah, here CM Punk finally makes an appearance without the goddamn title.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Alongside his future wife.
Uh-huh.
He comes in and he basically wants the triple threat match called off. He doesn't think it's fair that he can lose his belt without being pinned. And this just shows you all the things that this should tell you how WWE felt about Punk as a champion. AJ Lee not even paying attention. That just shows you what WWE thought of Punk as a champion. That they didn't
you never know. Maybe that's the kayfabe explanation. But maybe in the back of her head, she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fuck you later."
Yeah, it could be. But I'm just saying that should show that should be a detail right here that WWE. I think that shows you the kayfabe. Like, I bet Vince wasn't even paying attention to what CM Punk was saying when he was producing this.
I bet you he doesn't even know to this day that AJ and him are married.
Nah, he might because he got his.
He probably forgot. Is my point.
Yeah.
That's kind of my point with that. I'm not saying he didn't know back then, especially in 2014, but now probably doesn't even.
Let's get to the next match, though. This Barn Burner right here, which for the World Heavyweight Championship. Sheamus defended against Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez ringside. Oh, what a bad feud this was.
Oh, my God.
So, this was... I think if you want to know why Sheamus gets such a bad rap from fans, his 2012 one is what really made people sour on Sheamus. It was so bad. He was basically like a babyface version of John Cena, but like 10 times. Like you guys thought John Cena was bad. The babyface one of Sheamus was awful. It was so bland.
It was atrocious. I would take Cena any day over Sheamus. That's how bad it was.
I will die on this hill. Sheamus only got the pushes that he got during those early years because he was Triple H's workout buddy.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, going over this feud.
He's supposed to be a baby face here, and you'll get to the match details in a minute, Owen. But like, he's supposed to be a baby face here, and he wins with heel tactics.
Yeah.
By the way, not that this needs any explanation, but this was during his 1-800-FELLOW run. I dialed the number. It's not even a full fucking number.
This was
1-800-335-52. What's the other two numbers?
Maybe you're supposed to put extra A's, fella.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, we got a full number now. It's 1-800-335-5222. There we go. We got it. We got a full number, guys. Fuck.
This was before that, though. Believe it or not. So going through this. So this was a terrible version of Sheamus, probably the worst version of Sheamus I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So Sheamus had won the belt in 18 seconds from Daniel Bryan at Mania. He had been carrying the World Heavyweight Championship ever since. Alberto Del Rio returned the night after, was basically stalking Sheamus, wanted to get that World Heavyweight Championship. He finally got a one-on-one match at...
and by the way, used his car in a tout video and trashed it on a tout video because they had to just shill tout in there. As if this feud wasn't unbearably get off my TV enough. Let's just throw tout in there to add the little shit-sickle on the cake. Perfect.
But yeah, so Del Rio had tried for months to get this belt off Sheamus. He failed in a four-way match. He failed at Money in the Bank, and then he became number one contender. I don't even remember who he beat to become number one contender. I remember he won a four-way match against Bryan, Mysterio, and Kane to become number one contender. Was it Bryan? I don't even remember. Who cares? So Alberto Del Rio was making fun of Sheamus because he wasn't as high class as him. So Sheamus did the whole thing with this car where he stole Alberto Del Rio's car. So Alberto Del Rio revealed that he filed a report to the police unless he didn't give him a World Championship match ASAP. So he got a World Heavyweight Championship match on that SmackDown. No. And then we found out that then he hired cops who weren't really cops to beat up Sheamus. So Booker T called off the match at SummerSlam, which I don't even know. So the whole thing was off. Yeah, he called off the whole match at SummerSlam. And Sheamus, basically begged for the match to be put back on at SummerSlam. It was really dumb.
What a fucking spastic way to book a world title match.
Yeah, wow. It was really stupid.
This is something, I'm not even kidding when I say this. This is something like a 5-year-old kid on a Ritalin would book, and he'd probably book it with a lot more sense than this.
Accurate.
we had the match. They started off by locking up, and it wasn't like a lockup, like a regular lockup. It was like they both wanted to kill each other type of lockup. They fought outside the ring. Sheamus threw Del Rio into the barricade, into the post. Sheamus dominated the beginning portions of this matchup, but then eventually, due to Ricardo Rodriguez interference, Del Rio gets the upper hand.
Hold on, gotta stop you right here. They look like they wanted to kill each other lock up. Here's the problem with that statement. The word lock up!
Yeah.
This man had his car stolen. He had his property violated. You know, he should know something to think about that or two. But I digress. Buy the shirt.
Buy the shirt.
There you go. I had to get that one in there.
Appreciate that.
What the fuck? How do you not just go in there swinging like a wild person? What is the psychology here?
Yeah. There wasn't a lot of psychology really on this show.
Oh yeah. You could have fooled
So
me.
then,
Except for the main event, that had to have all sorts of psychology. We'll get to that.
yeah, Del Rio attacked Sheamus throughout the beginning portions of the matchup by gaining control. He works over the arm of Sheamus because Sheamus' arm was hurt going into the match, which I don't think was taped up, but they didn't really. You can make the argument it was because Sheamus didn't want to tape it up, but the commentators couldn't bother telling you that. But that's the reason I gave, so whatever.
That's when you
Del
know
Rio,
the feud is top tier, when you have to literally explain things that make no sense yourself, and then just say, yeah that's canon.
Yeah. Legit.
Del Rio, I don't know. It's really tough to break down this match because the feud was so bad, and just I feel like because I'm not a Del Rio guy and knowing what happens with Del Rio nowadays, it's like you really can't just watch any of his matches. So I really didn't pay attention move for move for this match. So if you want like a play-by-play thing of what goes down,
I don't blame you. I've never been a Del Rio guy either, and I've never been a Sheamus guy. Do you want to know what I remember most about Sheamus's babyface run at this time?
Go for it.
What's
His
that?
backstage segment with Beaker when the Muppets hosted Raw.
Oh my god, that's the only highlight of that whole run. You're right.
But anyhow, I'll just say the finish because that's really what we're here for. So throughout eventually Del Rio gets an enziguri on Sheamus. He goes for the pin. Sheamus kicks out. Ricardo Rodriguez thought the match was won, so he got up in the apron to celebrate. But then he went, "Wait, it's not over. How could this not be over?" So he gets into the ring for some reason. I don't even remember how he got into the ring.
I should go into the Hall of Fame panel because I could do an enziguri.
He actually did wrestle at NXT.
I can do it over and over and over again. That should get me in the Hall of Fame.
And behind the referee's back, he goes to throw the shoe to Del Rio. He overshots, and Sheamus catches the shoe, hits Del Rio with it, covers Del Rio. Del Rio gets his foot on the rope, but the ref doesn't see it. The ref counts 3. Sheamus takes his foot off the ropes and retains his World Heavyweight Championship. What a overbooked mess this.
And then
I know a lot of.
and Sheamus, top of the line babyface, just goes, "I got my world title."
Yeah.
How do you make Cena look like he had more integrity back in 06? Seriously?
How do you make Eddie Guerrero look like he had more integrity?
Bro,
I mean, the
Eddie
man
Guerrero's
had a
whole
shirt
gimmick
that said "Feet to win, lie,
cheat, steal. I'm your poppy.
Eddie still comes off with more integrity than a Sheamus cheat. It's like, come on.
Yeah, this was really bad.
I trust Eddie Guerrero with my kid as a babysitter that I trust freaking Sheamus in that moment.
And the worst part about this, everyone was hating this feud was enough. That meant we were going to get a rematch, and the rematch we did get, because then it led to Night of Champions, where Sheamus fought Del Rio again, where the blow kick was banned because they thought it was a dangerous move, and then they just randomly put the blow kick back before the match, and Sheamus still won and retained his world championship anyways. This feud was probably the worst.
By the way, as a whistle, clean. And by the way, we were talking about crybabies earlier with Ziggler's crybaby run back in, I don't even remember, like 2019, 2020, whatever. Here's one for you. I had my foot on the rope.
Yeah.
He's freaking having a spastic fit. I'm like, dude, you know this is fake, right? Like, you know this is predetermined, dude, right?
Yeah.
I can't tell sometimes with him, man. He might need some professional help.
So going
Oh
through
wait,
it both
that's
guys-
wait a minute. Probably too late.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Let
continue.
me talk. So yeah, they blew off the feud. Sheamus would go on to lose the World Heavyweight Championship to the Big Show. In that really good match at Hell in a Cell in 2020, not 2020, 2012. Then Sheamus continued his babyface blandness run until he got injured in 2013. No, but yeah, 2013. No, that I forgot. He got injured twice because I thought he got injured here and then came back as heel. No, that didn't happen. He came back in 2014, was still the bland babyface, had a bland U.S. title run, then got injured. Then he turned heel. Was the Mohawk, you look stupid, Sheamus. Stupidly won Money in the Bank. Stupidly won the championship that nobody wanted him to win.
Then he had a rejuvenation with the bar, pretty much, which saved his career, pretty much.
And then when the bar ended, he almost had to retire at one point because he had some neck injuries. But then he returned to 2020, had a terrible feud with Jeff Hardy.
Oh God!
And then he had a really good feud with Big E. And then he had a really good U.S. title run.
That's a pretty damn decent faction, to be fair. I just wish they could change the fucking name of Butch. There you go. That's really
we do not say that name on.
Okay,
on
I'm
this
sorry.
show.
Yeah, you're right. Pete Dunne.
That name is banned. Unless you're Chris Dodd, you could.
Well, in fairness, he could say Butch because he didn't know Pete Dunne, so he could say Butch.
He could say Butch.
Same.
Chris Dodd is allowed to say it because that's our stick. Where I say the names that they should be, and he says the names that they are. That he can say it too.
Okay, cool.
But
The one thing you didn't touch on as far as Sheamus, and part of why he came back with that stupid Mohawk look, was his performance in the Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
That's why he had the Mohawk to begin with, was for the movie there.
and then as for Alberto Del Rio,
He actually got a big pop the night after Mania too. They should have just ran with him as a babyface then, still. And then they turned him, and then immediately got shat on. You look stupid. Like, oh my God! What? That was a trip, man. That's WWE fans literally knew no one else would get over, so they got themselves over. That was
Think about it. Think about this for a minute, and keep in mind, I wasn't watching during this time frame, but you figure that movie was 2016 when he had the Mohawk and coming out of the Ninja Turtles. When was Stephen Amell involved in WWE? Because he was Casey Jones in the same movie. Like, if the two of them had merged on WWE television, you really could have had something to help elevate Sheamus to the next level. And I've said numerous times, Stephen Amell was the beginning of celebrities from Hollywood that really understood and were able and willing to put in the work to be a hell of a WWE performer. Could you imagine if they had done something with those two coming off the heels of that movie?
I still think the biggest crock of shit is how they made Stephen Amell do as bare bones as possible when he could have done so much more in that tag match he had in SummerSlam. All improved that with his match against Daniels. And then you saw the match he had, and you knew he was athletic enough that he could do so much more, and they didn't let him do any of it. And you mentioned that now, and it would have made way more sense for Sheamus to be in the spot of Barrett.
Yeah.
But no, we had to give it to Barrett because why not? And he was and Stardust was still a thing, so instead of Cody Rhodes being Cody Rhodes, it was Stardust. And so he had Barrett as the Cosmic King. God, awful fucking television, dude.
And then as for Alberto Del Rio, he would go on to have a bland run as World Heavyweight Champion as a babyface, where he didn't really get over as a babyface. He did that weird feud with Jack Swagger with the whole We the People thing, where somehow Del Rio was the face and Swagger was the heel, when it probably should have been reversed.
Then it got reversed because Ziggler cashed in, and then Ziggler got a concussion, and then he turned heel again by making him have more of a concussion.
And then he had a terrible second world title run, lost it to John Cena. kind of hung around in the mid card for a bit. Got released because of a race issue. Then he did some really good stuff in Lucha Underground, ROH, and AAA. He was actually the AAA Mega Champion when he was in Lucha Underground, which is kind of weird because I don't even know if because Lucha Underground's taped so far in advance, so it was kind of weird that he was a champion. But luckily, he never lost the belt. Then he came back in 2015 and beat Cena for the U.S. title in his Open Challenge, like really fast. It was really cool. Then nothing. He was Next America with Zeb Coulter.
Zeb Coulter brought him in.
Yeah, remember Next America? That was a thing. Then then he was in the League of Nations.
Hey, I do remember Mex America. Yeah, Hernandez and that other guy that nobody remembers.
Oh yeah, maybe it wasn't Mex America then. Maybe it was something else.
No, it was Mex America. It was the same name. That's the funniest bit of it. It's the same name.
How did they get away with it? Like, I don't even understand.
Because I think TNA called them Mexican America and WWE called them Mex America. So they got away with it by shortening the name and abbreviating it.
But then, so then Del Rio did the League of Nations. Had really good matches with Kalisto.
Kalisto carried him.
Basically, nothing happened in 2016. He dated Paige and kind of ruined Paige's career for like a period. Actually, you could make an argument he really ruined Paige's career.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he was released.
The same ever since.
I think the second time he got released was because he had some bad issues backstage. I think from what I remember.
Yep. He just got drafted to SmackDown. He lasted a week after the draft. A fucking week. And then immediately Gonzo. Oh, and then hold on. Right before his Tito fight is when apparently the whole thing with the woman and baby was alleged to happen.
Oh wait, we're not even there yet.
Yeah, but that's when that happened for the record.
Yeah, he went to Impact.
Oh God, I forgot about his Impact run where he no-showed events.
Yeah, and then he had some type of issue happen with Paige at like an airport, which we never really found out the details of really, where they got into like some type of fight. Man, but I think I can understand why they kept Paige. I think everyone wondered why they kept Paige. I think it was because they wanted. I think it's because they knew it was Del Rio's fault, not Paige. And then in 28, and then in 20, I think he tried to start his own wrestling company with. Was it Ray and like somebody else? But then I think a lot of allegations or something came out about him, so they had to put the nix on starting that. Wasn't he supposed to start some type of wrestling company or MMA company or something like that? Then
it was supposed to be a hybrid. The promotion was Tito and him, and this is the most hilarious thing. And this is like, and he thinks he should go into the freaking Hall of Fame. Like, give me a break. This dude has the Spinner Championship on the line in an MMA fight with Tito Ortiz, past his prime, mind you, and he's got the Spinner Championship as if they're doing a title for title unification.
Oh my gosh!
If for no other reason why this guy should never, ever, ever, ever be in the WWE Hall of Fame. What a goddamn mark for yourself you gotta be.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Really?
And then in 2020 he had some type of issue where he like I think kidnapped somebody.
Yep.
Wasn't that what he was
alleged because somehow got proven innocent in that. I don't know how, but
And what's he doing now? I don't even know what he's doing.
Trying to get into the Hall of Fame. That's why the whole joke is that.
That's the last we heard is that he was trying to make a case for himself to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, and it's like, nah, dude, Chris Benoit deserves a spot over you. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
And even that.
I don't even know what to rate this match. I think I rated it 2.25, but the match is so much worse now that I started talking.
1.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 1.
Call it a day.
This was
sucked. This was so life draining. Like, they had an okay show And then this immediately went to, this is one of the worst SummerSlams I've ever seen, ever.
Yeah.
This was definitely the worst match of the night, in my opinion. And it was a showstopper for all the wrong reasons. I compare this to Big Show Akibono at WrestleMania 21.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it just killed the crowd.
Yeah, it's...
And then where we go to next from this doesn't get us any better.
Oh my god, it's fucking
So next
horrific.
The next match is a WWE Tag Team Champion. Oh, I didn't even mention, by the way, where Ricardo Rodriguez is. Let me do that real quick. He basically went on to do Spanish commentary for a bit. He was randomly paired up with LBD for no reason. There was no reason for it at all. He wrestled in NXT under a luchador mask. I forget the name.
Moves, to be honest, because that luchador mask did not fit his face.
Yeah, and then he was released in 2014, 2015-ish, and I don't even know what
he won like a bunch of world championships in Puerto Rico. I think he won the WWC title at one point.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot. He basically a nice guy. Complete opposite of this guy that he was working for.
Oh, actually,
Ricardo Rodriguez Chimera is such a cool, down-to-earth dude. Like, he made his name out here on the SoCal scene before getting picked up by WWE and brought in and utilized as Alberto's manager. Jeff is someone who could speak a lot more at length about Chewy, but he's just a hell of a guy. Every time we bumped into him, he gave nothing but love to us and the fans and everything, and it just sucks for him that his career is always going to be entangled with that of Alberto's. And to his credit, he never has a bad thing to say about Alberto, because without Alberto, he wouldn't have gotten the national exposure that he did. So in that aspect, I guess there's a little bit of positive to be said about Del Rio and his career, but it's just sad that he's always going to be with them.
Yeah. There's actually a fun fact here. He actually did Spanish commentary on an episode of AEW Dynamite on October 27th, 2021. He was actually he did it for like a week to take the place of Willa Urbana, who had to miss that week because he had some type of race issue against her.
Oh, that was the Hikaru Shida, isn't it? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he replaced the dude for that.
Well, that was just for one episode. I think he's been back since. So, let's talk about the next match now. We had a WWE. Oh, and as for the World Heavyweight Championship itself,
retired.
Basically, yeah.
Until it reared its ugly head again. Well, it's not ugly. It's a beautiful belt, but it reared its head again in Ric Flair's last match. That's the last time we've seen it. There you go.
Yeah. Then we had a WWE Tag Team Championship match. It was Kofi Kingston and R-Truth defending against the Primetime Players.
Yeah,
I forgot the Prime.
I don't even want to go into this spot for spot. The only thing I want to bring up is this, because this is the key point here that we need to bring up here. They're putting over Titus O'Neil like he's this big bad dude that's going to be the future of the WWE for years to come. And don't get me wrong, he is. For good and bad, he is. But not on the level that they tried to hype him up here.
No.
In the slightest.
And they seem to not even put any emphasis behind Darren Young.
At all.
And that's his partner.
It's all about Titus because he's the big guy of the team. And then they lose against Truth and Kofi, a makeshift tag team, when they are a legitimate tag team. And they just spent the entire match putting over how Titus is the future of the WWE. And they even put over Darren too as the match was going on, saying how they're a well-oiled machine. You could have fooled me, because they lost the fucking match.
This was something that Kofi was seriously suffering through at the time, as nobody knew what to really do with Kofi until the New Day started. That they just kept throwing him into all these different makeshift tag teams, and to be fair, they were successful. He would win tag titles with a bunch of his partners, but there just was nothing really for Kofi Kingston to sink his teeth into. And then you figured Triple H had already buried him a couple years prior in that DX spot
yeah.
where everybody wanted to
Right.
join DX.
I don't even know if he.
I was like, weren't you Jamaican?
I don't even think.
Yeah.
I don't even. Actually, I disagree because I think Triple H did him a favor in that respect. I don't think he buried him. I think that's always a common misconception. Did he bury the Jamaican
fair.
gimmick? Yes. Did he elevate Kofi after that? I
Maybe.
would venture to
Yeah,
say
okay, that's a fair
because he was
standpoint.
supposed to go into a world title feud with Orton not long after that, and then Orton decided to have a hissy fit because oh my god he botched one spot.
Yeah.
So I mean, and now
But anyhow,
now we got this. Now we're subjected to this because of Orton. Thanks, you crybaby. By the way,
You guys are missing the biggest thing about this because going into this show, the primetime players were aligned with AW, Abraham Washington. This was at the time when that was really starting to get over.
oh yeah, the Kobe Bryant comment, right?
Yep. So then he made the Kobe Bryant comment. So that got him some heat. I don't even think that's what got him fired. I believe he made some comments about Linda McMahon on social media as well, and then that got him fired. So basically, I think the primetime players were supposed to win the tag titles on this show, but because that AEW stuff happened, I think it was Nick. I think it was Nick.
That's how soon. That's how early that happened. Oh,
Yeah. And then,
wow.
but still, but then so apparently too. There's
Wait,
rumors
didn't they
that
still
were
have? Wait, hold on. That doesn't make sense. Didn't they have Tony Atlas still employed?
I don't recall.
I don't recall.
Why didn't you
But
just?
the AW stuff was fresh around this time. I actually remember being at Access this year. And at Access, they've always got your little MC who's doing games with the crowd and everything. So they brought a bunch of people into the ring, including myself. And the game was they went down the line and you had to name a past or present WWE superstar. And as long as you didn't repeat, they'd just keep going round and round and round until there was one man standing. And the video is actually up on my channel, the Casa D18 Studios channel. You can watch me in this. I say both Abraham Washington and Chris Benoit on my way to victory.
Yeah.
The reaction from the crowd is one of those like, oh, he said a naughty word.
That's a bad word. Oh no.
And to
But
think
then-
that I actually won a prize based off of saying these naughty words at a WWE event is just hilarious in hindsight. But
prize did you
continue,
win?
Owen.
I'm surprised.
prize did
I'm
you win?
surprised you got out of there alive with the.
What prize?
Vince
what
McMahon
prize
must have
did you
never
win?
found out.
What prize did you win?
It was one of those. Remember when they were doing like the new generation of wrestling buddies?
Yeah.
It was a John Cena wrestling buddy, and then I gave it to Dylan, Jeff's son.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's.
But anyhow,
I always loved getting into those things and then just playing the heel. Like I would always be the guy standing there at the ring, and people would get in the ring and be like, "Okay, so who's your favorite wrestler? What's your name? Where are you from? Whatever." And oh, my favorite wrestler is John Cena, and I'd be sitting there going, "Boo." "Oh, my favorite wrestler is so and so." Boo. Finally, I'd get called in the ring. "Oh, my name is JJ. I'm from Long Beach, California. Who's your favorite wrestler?" "Randy Orton." The whole crowd, boo. Me, I just stand there. I hit the Orton pose in the
Yeah,
middle of the ring,
That's how
just
you
bask
do it.
in
That's
the
how you
heat.
do it. Yeah. That's how you do it.
But yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, continuing with this, like I said, there's no reason to go over this. For some reason, they kept the belts on Kofi and Truth. I don't know why. They really weren't working as a tag
You
team
know
at the
what's
time.
you know what's funny? Why did
Probably
they?
for what James said, because of the AW thing. They probably were supposed to get the push, but because of all that, they couldn't, in good conscience, give them the
Here's
belt.
my goddamn question. Why not just run with it and see if they could carry themselves on their own on the microphone? By the way, they could have.
Yeah.
They had
Titus
a
has
fucking.
made
You know
that
what? You know
more
what's
than
funny?
proven.
The best tout was by the primetime players.
Yeah.
Unironically saying that.
Yeah.
So if they can carry
Titus is-
that piece of shit, why can't you give them the fucking tag titles?
Titus has proven his microphone ability since that point, and Darren Young, Fred Rosser, has really come out of his shell since coming out as being gay to the masses and then moving on to the independent circuit.
Yeah, he's
He's
having a
really
hell of a
come
run
out
in
of
New
his
Japan,
shell, and
too,
he's
yeah.
come in, got so much charisma and promo ability. One of my buddies on the indie scene, Gino Rivera, actually worked a program with him, and just
Yeah,
watching the
promo
two of
ability
them
when-
trade promos were amazing.
Dude, he had promo ability when he had that mini feud with Punk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, going over where everybody is.
Fucking Nexus! He had promo ability in the Nexus!
Yeah.
The dude was fine!
But yeah,
But
going
he was
over
Black John Cena back then. Like, you look at John Cena and you look at Darren Young, and he looked like a black version of John Cena.
Yeah.
That's what really killed him.
Going over where all these guys are. Titus,
That's just
the
racist.
primetime players would get another tag title match, but then lost to Team How No, which ended up forming, which would lead to Team How No getting the belts. Primetime players would last like another 2 years as a team, but then they randomly broke them up for no reason.
And then randomly put them back together, and then randomly broke them up again.
And then Titus O'Neil had like a consistent spot in the company. He would.
Wait, hold on. They randomly got back together, finally then won the tag titles, only to then drop them back to the New Day.
And then randomly
in SummerSlam 2015.
Yeah. And then they randomly broke up again, without any mention of it ever. If you remember, do you remember Titus O'Neil?
Right after they lost the titles,
Yeah.
by the way.
They randomly broke up again for no reason. Yeah.
And then Titus did Slater Gator for no reason. And then Darren Young teamed with Bob Backlund to try to make Darren Young great again. That was a great time.
And then Titus O'Neil started the Titus Worldwide thing with Apollo Crews and Dana Brooke.
Turned into Titus World Slide.
Yeah, that kind of got over, but then randomly broke up for no reason. Then he just kind of like really didn't do much. He was kind of there.
He's just their PR shield now, unfortunately.
As for Darren Young, he basically got released in 2016. I think he kind of left the business for a bit. He did indies, but I don't think he was really wrestling all that much. He had a resurgence in New Japan. Right now, he's the second ever New Japan Strong Heavyweight Champion.
Well deserved,
and now,
by the way.
Yeah.
And he's done appearances at NWA and the United Wrestling Network, which I guess is NWA, an affiliate or whatever.
Oh God.
Yeah.
The
Again,
United
I can't
Wrestling
recommend.
Network.
I can't recommend enough. Go on YouTube and see if the videos are posted online. Gino Rivera versus Fred Rosser, and check out that feud that he did with my buddy. My buddy is a great old school heel. He's so good with his promo abilities. See if you can find those promos and matches and check it out.
As for Kofi, he would go on to have IC title and US title reigns, kind of still flounder, but then the New Day happened, and it was just a magical time for him. He's basically been in the New Day spot. He had one WWE Championship reign, which with the run to it and winning the belt was awesome. The reign itself was kind of and then now the New Day's been a consistent top tag
don't
team.
forget, lost in 8 seconds to Brock. Yay!
Yep. And then now the New Day
winning the title was kind of like a lifetime achievement award.
Yeah, and then the New Day has been a top
CM
tag
Punk said
team.
it best, by the way. 8 years too late.
Yeah.
And then as for R-Truth, he would basically be a comedy act. He would have several ones with the 24/7 championship, and have several times where he thought he was going to be in matches, but then wasn't in those matches.
I honestly, you know what?
I think R-Truth's like a 314-time 24/7 champion at this point.
At the point of this recording, he might have already passed the 500 threshold by now. I don't even know.
Yeah.
One thing you missed for Titus is he did go into the Hall of Fame as a Warrior recipient.
That's right, he did.
Which is great that he got that at least.
Yeah, I mean, I still think Shad should have got it that year because it was hot on the heels of that tragedy, but I understand they wanted to wait a little bit, do it the following year. So
I kind of like the fact that they waited because I think Shad because there was a crowd for Shad versus Thunderdome with
True.
Yeah, that deserved the crowd. Yeah. Here's another thing though. We talk about truth. You talked about the forgetful thing. I genuinely think those are the funniest things because truth makes those segments.
I know.
It really makes the segment. Like I can't even lie. Those are. He is so on point with how he acts.
Brock's even
unbelievable.
I remember when he did a program with Brock. This was before he was a cowboy.
Yeah, Brock is legitimately corpsing in the ring. He's supposed to. I think this is the story I understand. This is exactly how Paul told it. He's supposed to be stone faced the whole promo, and Truth just made him bust out laughing. He's just like, I don't even know.
I believe it.
It was so good. It was such a funny moment. And
Ron Killings
then
is such an
Heyman's just
underrated
going
talent.
with it. He looks at Brock as Brock is legitimately dying in the middle of the ring. He's like in tears at this point.
Yeah.
And Paul is just going, "It's not funny!" And between Heyman and Truth's interaction, Paul can't even stand to be in the ring with these two clowns. It's so good.
Ron Killings is such an underrated talent, and
Yeah.
I know it won't happen, but I really hope that now that Triple H is in charge, they can maybe turn him a little bit more into a serious character again. I'm so afraid that the damage has been done with all these years as a comedy shtick.
It has been. The only way it will be undone is if he leaves and goes somewhere else. Put him back in the NWA, he'll be fine.
Well, if he either that or if he has to take a long break from WWE.
Yeah, we're talking as long as humanly possible. Or maybe you could like slowly build to it where he's just like slowly losing his touch or something, right?
Yeah.
And then like he then starts getting sad, and he starts doing the smoking thing again, like. They slowly build it and then take him off TV after the slow. Kind of like how they did the Undertaker transitioning from the Ministry of Darkness to the American Badass. How they did that slow transition back in '99. If they did something similar to that length with R-Truth, maybe. That's not the only thing I can see though.
As for the tag title match, as for the tag team titles themselves, they've had a lot of changes. They changed. No, they didn't. They actually have only had one change. They became penny. They went from pennies to dimes, as John Tuddy likes to say.
Yeah, they are. Now they're two dimes because they got different brands. You see, so they had to have two different dime belts. So now the Usos hold the 20-cent straps.
Yeah,
it's great. God, I miss the old style, man. God.
Yeah.
Then as for the tag title match, I gave it 2 stars. It was really a filler match. I'm
not even gonna give it that. I give it 0.
It was. It's like this is one of the matches. Like you look at this match, and what did it offer the card? And you couldn't have put Cesaro versus Santino in the spot.
Honestly, that match ain't that much to write home about either, only because Santino scripted is involved.
But at least you had Cesaro winning his first championship in front of a crowd that knew him.
Yeah, that's fair, actually.
Then we had we forgot to mention, by the way, where Vicky Guerrero and Oksana were. Vicky Guerrero would become the Raw GM. Then basically, and then the SmackDown GM. And then basically was out of the company. Really was brought back for appearances.
She fought the Authority, lost, then dumped Stephanie into a pool of mud anyway, and then did the Eddie Guerrero taunt. People actually cheered her. Thank you, Vicky chants happened. I was like, wow, that's sweet. After all the times they booed her out of the building.
And then now she's in AEW managing Nyla Rose, and I think Melina Shafir, but I'm not sure.
Oh God!
And as for Oksana, she basically Cesaro ditched her after he lost the match because they finally got their head out of their ass and got Cesaro away from her, which needed to happen. But they couldn't get their head out of it, not to push him, just enough to get him away from Oksana though. And then
Oh, it's on point today. Jeez.
and then Oksana basically just like wrestled until like 2014. Jobber man, like she was
Yeah,
enhancement
she
talent.
just randomly up and quit and retired, and I have no idea where she's at now.
And I forgot to do the research on it because I don't really care about Oksana, to be honest. I don't think
she's probably cool. I don't know, but
it just wasn't. I think my life's gonna go on without knowing where she is right now. So,
wow.
As for continuing, we have SummerSlam week where it just basically showed all the week-long things you could have done at SummerSlam, or all the week-long things they did. They showed Access. They showed like them going to do Make-A-Wish stuff and all that type of stuff, and it was the typical SummerSlam video. So there you go.
Oh yeah, the Be a Star campaign, and then it transitions right into into Big Show bullying the two top baby faces for hours. Oh yeah, what a great Be a Star campaign WWE has.
Right.
Next
and
was
right after that was Brock bullying Triple H.
Next was a WWE triple threat match for the WWE Championship. It was CM Punk defending against John Cena and the Big Show. Going through the history of this match, John Cena had cashed in his Money in the Bank contract on CM Punk and tried to win the championship on Raw 1000. Big Show cost in the match and caused Cena to be the first one to fail his cash in, which is it's probably the dumbest way, other than maybe before Corbin. It's the dumbest way someone's failed to cash in, especially since it was the first one. And then CM Punk turned heel, which nobody wanted. I don't even think he wanted. You could just tell he didn't want to be a heel. If you watch the show, you could definitely tell. CM Punk was actually wearing the very same shirt JJ's wearing right now. I think he planned that. CM Punk turned heel because he claimed that he wasn't getting the respect that he deserved because he wasn't getting the main event shots, and he was being overshadowed by John Cena, AJ Lee.
Wait, he's not getting the main event shots. You mean like right here, right on this pay-per-view?
Yeah.
They actually pointed out in the commentary, CM Punk had not been in the main event since December 2011.
Yep.
August 2012.
Yep.
Think about that. Your WWE champion has not been in the main event since December of the year prior.
By the way,
let me see them pull that shit with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Let me see them pull that shit with Roman Reigns.
Yeah, how about this one? How do you not put him and Jericho in the main event of that pay-per-view where they had that Chicago street fight, but put Laurinaitis and him in the main event?
Well, no, the main event was Cena versus Brock. Brock's first match.
No, that was the first time. Oh no, was it? No,
you're thinking
correct. You're thinking
of CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan and Cena versus...
not the main event, but Cena and Laurinaitis is.
Mm-hmm.
The triple threat match. The triple threat match that he had with Daniel Bryan and Kane didn't main event, but Cena versus Big Show in a cage match main evented.
Yep. I had No Way Out when they brought that back for like a cup of coffee.
Yep.
For no reason whatsoever, even though that should have been saved for, I don't know, the Elimination Chamber?
Yep. But anyhow, so CM Punk was, not getting the main event shots he deserved. So he demanded respect. John Cena told him, respect isn't given, it's earned. And to which I say, John Cena, he's earned it. He earned it. So, again, he's trying to be the company guy there, but, and being the babyface. But really, CM Punk was right in that instance.
It's funny because, like, both of them, though, even with us being Punk marks, both had valid points, right, at least, to a degree. Cena sometimes to a fault on his end, right? But at least they had legit points. At least they had legit bone of contention with each other. Big Show was just like, well, I kind of been fucked around and turned heel and face so many times, and I'm sick of being tipsy-turvy, and I want a damn world title, so I'm going to get a damn world title, and I'm going to be a giant, and fuck you all. That was his whole thing!
Yeah.
God. Why did you even put him in the match?
They had a triple threat match. where CM Punk interfered and it led to AJ Lee making it in a triple threat because it's the typical booking thing that WWE, at least in Vince's era, always did, where the heel will interfere in the match to try to prevent the match from facing any of the guys, but then the GM will be like, nope, you gotta face both these guys instead, because WWE loves to do that trope. If you think about it, AEW's been around.
You know?
If you think about it, AEW's done this trope only one time, and they've been around for 3 years, and they had to do that trope. I think they had to do that trope because Orange Cassidy was hurt, so they didn't have a choice. They had to call an audible. So
pretty much.
But anyhow, CM Punk claimed he wasn't getting respect. Big Show was in the match. He was because he was a giant. He had the most likely chance to win this match because he's a giant. He's a giant. That's what giants do. So going into the match, the whole match is just Big Show dominating John Cena.
It's so terrible, man. Oh my god.
I want to talk about one spot that I've never talked about before, and I never talked about it at the time. So this is a spot that they kept doing week after week. It never worked, where Cena would get Big Show up for the AA, and CM Punk would hit the Big Show, and somehow it would knock Cena. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, he would hit the Big Show while he's on Cena's shoulders, and somehow that knocks Cena down. It didn't even... That spot made no sense whatsoever.
The weight somehow. Like, what... You could have just, Newton's law of gravity says you would drop the person before you would go down with them. In that regard, especially if you're somebody as strong as Cena.
Yeah, who we've seen lift like 2 people at once. One of them, the Big Show, in an AA position. So, Big Show just dominates this match for like the longest time. Like everything
dominates. More like I've never seen such a slow, methodical beatdown in my life, and this is on fucking pay-per-view. This was $40 goddamn bucks. You 50, had to see 60 in some parts of the world, and you had to sit there while Big Show is just slowly walking around, hitting a move every half a minute.
Yeah, it's so bad.
This was so painstaking.
And then eventually,
it's horrible.
And basically, that's the whole match. Like the CM Punk and Cena would get a little bit of flowy, but then it'd just be Big Show just beating on them. Then eventually, CM Punk and John Cena Punk gets a Koji clutch onto the Big Show.
Yeah, that was like I popped for that because it was fucking Koji clutch.
Yeah, you never saw that. You never saw that move on WWE.
Yeah, and it was and I also popped when Punk came out in Bread attire. That's about it.
Yeah,
and then
Cena puts the STF on the Big Show. Both of them at the same time have these submission moves on. Big Show taps out.
Jesus Christ! Oh, okay. And so he taps. Right, I got this part. Just allow me. So, Big Show. I just gotta ask you gentlemen in the room right now. The rule dictates no matter who's submitted in a triple threat match. Wouldn't that mean by default the person that tapped out, no matter what submission hold it is immediately eliminated from the fucking equation?
Yeah. You would think so.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Cool.
I mean,
we are talking WWE.
The only argument against
okay, but I'm talking common sense. I'm talking
the only argument
where people would use it.
Cool.
The only argument against it would be it wasn't an elimination. But yeah, Big Show should have been removed for the match though immediately,
I mean, even if you're gonna restart the match because there's not a clear victor, Big Show tapped out. There's no reason for him to still be in the equation.
He's gone.
I think that's the point that James is making.
Yeah.
Is that even though it wasn't set to be elimination, Big Show gave up.
Big Show gave up. He's gone.
And now do Cena Punk to see who the true victor is.
Continue, James.
AJ Lee comes out after the argument goes down. she skips. Punk and Cena are arguing, which is, honest to God, I'm not even kidding, besides the Koji Clutch, probably the best part of the match is their dialogue with each other and the dialogue with AJ. And then AJ just says, restart the match. I'm like, what? What does that mean? And then the Big Show fucking choke slams them and tries to pin one after the other after he already tapped!
Yep.
What the fuck? The fuck, Vince? Dude, this is Exhibit A of whatever the hell your stance is on Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Whether you love the man, whether you hated the man, this is exactly why people are glad to see him finally step aside, because of bullshit like this.
Bullshit like this is why I stopped watching for almost a decade.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
So then afterwards, Cena gets Big Show up for the AA. Punk throws him out of the ring, pins Big Show, and wins. And, John Cena's not impressed because...
Oh, yeah, a way to make your fucking champion look like the biggest pussy on the planet, by the way.
Yep.
Just again, to add to add another freaking corn to the shit cake that you just put in.
Yep.
Great, phenomenal, awesome. Wow.
This was terrible triple threat match. I give it like a star and a half. Maybe
Dude,
like a star
I literally, I remember this rating because of it was that bad. I literally gave this -3 stars. I hated this match with every fiber of my being. To the point where you just gotta laugh at this, right?
The best part about this match, and James will tell you, I'm a stickler for long-term storytelling.
Right.
You figure going into this match was the culmination of 2 years of SummerSlams for Punk.
Right.
At SummerSlam 2010, the SCS got beat badly by the Big Show. Like, when the SCS was at a point where they should not have lost to the Big Show, because they were the best thing about SmackDown. Big Show comes in, squashes them.
Oh, it makes...
a
crybaby Punk happen, too.
Yep.
The following year was the Cena Punk match to unify the two titles after Punk had left with the title belt from Money in the Bank, thrown the belt in the refrigerator. Tournament happened. Ray won the title. Cena immediately challenged him, took the strap right off of him, which, let's just bury Rey Mysterio in the process. And then we had that face-to-face with Cena Punk. So the people that Punk had fought and split against, because he lost to the show, defeated Cena at the 2 SummerSlams prior, all came to a head in this SummerSlam.
That's about it.
That was the best thing about this match, for me, was the long-term storytelling.
Well, guess what? I hate to tell you, man.
And then the match was just garbage.
As good as the long-term storytelling was, I like how you put it all together. WWE didn't talk about that long-term storytelling.
Not once did they say that on commentary!
I know.
Not once!
And it's shit like that gets on my nerves about WWE. It's like, bro... You guys have been in this state for SummerSlam since 2009, and the 2 years prior have literally built a thread to this match, and you totally don't even acknowledge it.
Hold on, JJ, Owen, I don't know what you're talking about right now. You don't remember anything. You don't remember it. So stop pretending like you remember things.
Okay, James, we get it with the Men in Black flashy thingy.
Jesus. Like, it's like that, though. Like, he thinks that he could just immediately erase people's memories like that with just, you don't need to know the history prior. Yes, you do! Your whole idea on commentary is to educate the fans tuning in.
This match would have been so much better, I think, if they had built the emotion in that.
No shit.
Yeah.
And then Punk pins the Big Show,
Right.
getting back that defeat from 2010.
Yes.
Oh
What's
my
the name?
God, there's a moment.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
Dastardly heel tactics or not, Punk got the revenge from that loss at 2010.
Yep.
Even then, though, like, even if they wanted to make the Big Show look dominant, you had a better fucking match when Edge was in this exact same match. You couldn't have done it similar to that, at least? That was way more entertaining than this fucking pile of garbage was. God damn it.
Going through where everybody is, the Big Show will go on to have that world title reign. I mentioned when he beat Sheamus, and then he lost it to Del Rio.
He would just kind of become a part-timer. He'd come in and out. His final full-time run ended when Roman Reigns beat the dog shit out of him at Extreme Rules, pretty much. And
and then
another classically bad match.
And then he would continue. And then he would go on to, just kind of be an ambassador and show up every now and then. And once the WWE just didn't really see any value in him anymore.
Which is hilarious because after he was gone off TV, he actually started to show more of his personality, which has since then slowly started to come out more. And then he got himself in the best shape of his freaking life. Had 2 classic Big Hoss matches with Braun Strowman, which still to this day are some of my favorite Big Show matches he's ever had in WWE. Period.
Some of my favorite big men. Some of my favorite big man matches in wrestling. Period.
Yeah, seriously, like it was that good.
Yeah.
And then
you want to talk about the personality? Check out the Big Show on Netflix.
Yeah, that's such
holy hell. That is so silly.
It's Paul. It's Paul White to a T. And then goes to show more of that on AEW.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get Captain fucking Insano. Yes, please.
And, he left WWE in 2021. He joined AEW, and now he's a commentator.
I would say Captain Insano. Don't forget that. Captain Insano's coming back. And I love it.
CM Punk and John Cena would continue their feud. They had a match at Night of Champions that finally main evented, but it led to it was a no contest. And then they were supposed to have a Hell in a Cell match, but Cena was injured, so they scrapped that. CM Punk would continue to hold on to the belt. He finally lost the belt. He got to 434 days, which at the time was the longest rated modern.
And then lost to the People's Elbow.
Yep.
After a really good match, to be fair, but still lost to the fucking People's Elbow.
So he would go on, and he would have the 434-day title reign, which at the time was the longest reigning modern day WWE Championship reign. Then he did main event WrestleMania. He went on a massive losing streak.
He actually had a great match with Undertaker that should have main evented that Mania.
Yeah, should have.
And then he went on to in 2014. He had his last match in the Royal Rumble. He walked out. I think that either that night or the next night afterwards. Then he disappeared from wrestling altogether, unless you count when he was that bass person that would show up at indie shows and hit the GTS on occasion.
And then he pretty much that was a favor for his friend though. And then there was what was it?
There's a couple of UFC fights.
Yeah, which I genuinely think that was the biggest mistake he ever made, because I think he wanted number one, he wanted to do it anyway a lot earlier than he did, but he figured, you know what, I'm just gonna do it no matter my age now, because I need to fucking do something to get my mind off this crud that's going on with this lawsuit, because he was going through the lawsuit at the time. Finally wins that lawsuit, thank God. Still cost a friendship in the fucking process, poor guy.
I know.
Yeah.
And then he showed up in AEW in 2021 and is probably having up until he got injured, it was having the best wrestling run of his career. He's recently won the AEW World Championship, and we don't know when he's coming back. At least at the time of recording this video, he could come back at All Out. He could come back afterwards, or he could come back. Yeah, we don't know.
We have to put this into perspective as well. Punk, when Punk came back, I think it was the happiest I ever seen him because he finally got his passion back.
Yeah.
And that got my passion back in a lot of ways because I just about fell out by that point until he came back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, notice we weren't doing anything like with this shit.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be on Jeff Meacham a lot earlier, and I just never did it because I didn't know if I was even going to still be covering wrestling until Punk came back. That's seriously how close I was to just being done until Punk came back. I was just willing to just watch AEW and by my own and not even review wrestling. Period. That's like, and then Punk kind of rejuvenated my passion back.
And then
it was close to fizzled out at that point.
As for John Cena, he would have that supposedly bad year in 2012 that really wasn't all that bad if you think about it. And then he went on to finally beat The Rock at WrestleMania to win the WWE Championship that nobody wanted to happen. He had a great match with Daniel Bryan. He had to go get surgery. He won the World Heavyweight Championship from Del Rio. And he had the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which was like one of his last titles as his full-timer. He had that great U.S. title reign where he had the open challenge every week.
Yep.
Which is good because that was the last full John Cena wrestling we really got at that time. I feel like that U.S. title run should be really appreciated because that was the last time Cena was ever a full-timer. And now he's pretty much a part-timer. He's been back to have feuds with Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, and The Miz, and
you know what's funny?
Bray Wyatt.
He started doing Hollywood a little bit after he lost to Reigns the first time, which, by the way, the first time was at a fucking B show.
Yeah.
Great booking there. It was on No Mercy, I think, that year. And so he then went to do some Hollywood stuff, and it was like small roles, which he had an option after that because they really wanted him because he did well in those roles. But he was so loyal to WWE, he wasn't going to do it at first. And then Saudi happened.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Cena wanted... I'm not seeing that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back from him being a, more regular part-timer, but I think that's my theory of why he was done with it, pretty much.
Well, if you think about it, yeah, because he's only... Once Saudi happened...
He refused to do it, what was it,
2018, the Crown Jewel.
2018, because he showed up for the first one. I remember watching him in the first one. And then he never showed up in any single one since.
He's pretty much been that part-timer since that first Saudi show too.
Yep,
absolutely. So
pretty much.
The only real programs he's done is the match with Wyatt and the match with Reigns at SummerSlam last year.
Pretty much,
Then we had the SummerSlam concert that I skipped over because I don't like the song that much anyways, and I'm not going to spend. People paid pay-per-view money to watch the guy who perform a song, and let's talk about how bad the Divas were. This is the only thing that the Divas could do was just come out and dance to this concert. Terrible.
This is why the Divas era sucks.
Yeah.
Right here. And by the way, you couldn't have the Nitro girls train them or anything, really?
Or you couldn't have found a way to get a Divas title match or something on this show. Like, come on.
Something. Anything would have been better.
JJ, any thoughts on this concert? Because you were there live for this concert. So.
Oh my God!
I think I was in the bathroom during this. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Then we had the main event. Then we had the main event. It was Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman versus Triple H. A dream match for a lot of people. This was a match that a lot of people really wanted. I don't know if I really ever really wanted this match, but it was a dream match nonetheless. I'll
help you with this story for a little bit, because I do have to bring this up. The story going into this was really well done. I'm actually going to give them credit. The storyline was very fucking good from the start of this. So, while it never should have happened, Cena beat Lesnar in his first match back, right? That pissed him off to the point where he assaulted the COO, Triple H.
Well, if you remember, too, another part of Lesnar had that contract on the Go Home episode of Raw where he was going to have all these perks, and Triple H basically said, no, you're not getting these perks in storyline.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, he overruled Laurinaitis' thing and broke Triple H's arm, and the way, I don't even know if it was a shoot or a work, or because I feel like Triple H would be that type of guy who's like, yeah, break my arm for real so it looks legit. I could use some time off or some shit. But I'm sure that's not what happened. They just did a really good job at convincing me. And then they go on to have this really personal grudge to the point where Paul Heyman's starting to, insult his family. Paul
Heyman returned to doing this feud, too.
Right, exactly. This was like Paul Heyman's first big program back. He's really laying it in. He breaks Shawn Michaels' arm, and Shawn actually sold well for once.
Yeah.
For something like that. It's not like the pump kick during the pandemic, put it that way.
He was supposed to be in Triple H's corner, but because of that injury, he couldn't be there.
Exactly. So everything leading up to this was great. And then the match happened.
I'm actually going to be honest. I know I know what you guys are going to say. I actually really like the match. However, here's what I have an issue with this match. It was right after we had that awesome match with Cena that was something different we've really never seen before.
Exactly.
And it's like, and then Brock had to wrestle Triple H's style of match, which I like Triple H and all, but I think one of the things that's a pain in the ass with him is I think he only really prefers to wrestle one style and nothing else.
It's methodical, really.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. Which is funny because you never saw that one. You definitely didn't see that during SummerSlam this week.
Yeah. You never saw it during any of the NXT takeovers.
Like,
oh, I guess he did. I guess the only match.
I don't know. Maybe it's just he's not producing the matches, so he's letting the boys produce the matches. The boys and girls produce the matches, but
I think some of it comes down to the whole cerebral assassin moniker. You're gonna take a more slow, methodical, cerebral pace, trying to set things up.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, right? Exactly. Here, this was billed as basically a no DQ match.
Yeah.
Not for nothing. Let's go back to 2000. Him and Cactus Jack's one of the greatest fucking matches. That was full of cerebral spots, but there was still crazy shit that happened throughout.
Yeah.
Triple H got fucked up in that match. Like, his quadricep tear harkens all the way back to that match because he got stabbed in that fucking part of the leg with a fucking 2x4 that stuck right up his leg.
If you really want to go back to it, too, the match he had with Shawn Michaels 10 years prior to this was
Love
still...
that match.
Yeah.
But that was also 10 and 12 years prior.
Exactly.
Triple H isn't the same competitor, the same ability, the same mobility that he was 10, 12 years prior to this. You've got to take that in consideration. You've also got to take into consideration married life, fatherhood, all those things that he's trying to take into and weighing in the back of his head going into something like this.
Can I also put this in perspective, though? He had those thoughts in his head when he fought Undertaker 2 times in a row in great matches. And he was no spring chicken then either. He literally just fought Undertaker in a freaking Hell in a Cell Classic. Not even, how many months ago at that point?
WrestleMania 28. So
That's fair.
So that's why I'm like, you couldn't have just... And you could have used weapons. You had all the tools to just shortcut it.
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
Going through the match.
I don't know.
Yeah, Brock and Triple H. Triple H, like I said, I think it was basically a WWE style Brock Lesnar match. I don't think anyone really wanted to see Brock Lesnar wrestle that so after watching the Extreme Rules match too.
No.
Like it was such a different level. But yeah, Triple H gets the better hand of Brock Lesnar throughout the beginning portion of this matchup, which I think was really where the match kind of has its problems because you just saw Brock Lesnar like destroy John Cena, who was like wrestling full time every week, and he's kind of struggling with this Triple H, who this is his first match back after having his arm broken in kayfabe, so it was kind of weird. But then Brock gets in control. He throws Triple H into the barricade. He hits a slam with Triple H's arm behind his back onto the announcer's table. He really starts to dominate Triple H. He hits a German suplex before it was cool for him to do that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. He throws him over the announce table. He tips the announce table, the Spanish one, because they ain't going to do that to Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler's announce table.
Because Vince needs to scream at them more.
Yeah. Then Brock Lesnar goes into the corner of the announce table. And, obviously this is a big thing because this is after him battling his diverticulitis and all that type of stuff. So Triple H starts to target the ribs of Brock Lesnar. He hits a spine buster. Brock Lesnar kicks out. DDT. Brock Lesnar kicks out.
I will say Brock Lesnar is still a phenomenal seller even here. The way he was selling that was fucking superb.
He hits the pedigree. Brock Lesnar kicks out. Lesnar hits a low blow, followed by an F5. Mm-hmm. Triple H kicks out. Then Triple H hits the pedigree, and I think everyone was going to get worried here because this was going to be Brock Lesnar coming back with another loss. Lesnar immediately grabs him into the Kimura lock. Triple H finally taps out, and Brock Lesnar, wins the match, which I actually was surprised about at the time because I was worried that the WWE wasn't understanding that Brock Lesnar was a commodity. So this was kind of a good sign, a good direction to get Brock Lesnar back on track.
Until WrestleMania following that year, because then Brock lost Triple H.
Yeah.
And then he would beat him with only help from cheating by Paul Heyman, which then kind of hindered that commodity to the point where they then had to rehabilitate him by having him beat Punk and then beat freaking Undertaker.
Yeah. So if you want to know, by the way,
that's the reason he beat the streak is because he needed it because WWE fucked up. Period. End of story. Thanks. Come again.
After this, Triple H, after Lesnar leaves the ring, Triple H gets to the ring, and it's looking like he's not sure that he's going to retire or not. This really didn't get over. The fans really didn't care that they were trying to do this, not at all. Sympathy angle with Triple H, because I think everyone knew Triple H was going to come back, so I don't really think anyone was buying it at the time. I still thought the match was really good. I gave it like 3.5, but this really could have been so much more.
It wasn't even that great. I feel like it was really good with the shit sandwich we were given in the second half of the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Seriously,
I think
we were given the freaking 2 world title matches, which some of the god worst title freaking matches I've ever seen in my life. You were given the worst tag team division of all time.
Yeah.
In the history of that company, and the champion, the contenders they were building up on commentary didn't even win.
Oh, what happened?
JJ.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, there we go.
There
Oh, there we go. JJ, then you had that, and then finally we get to this slow-paced Brock match that didn't even feel like a Brock match. It wasn't even a cerebral assassin match because Triple H wasn't being the cerebral assassin. He was getting his cerebral ass kicked. And slowly, mind you. It was like the slowest domination. It was just like the Big Show match, but instead of him dominating 2 people, he was just dominating a part-timer when he literally just dominated a full-time employee before he got a lucky shot with a fucking chain.
Yeah. So it was really weird. As for where both guys are, Well, JJ, do you have any comments on this match that we haven't said?
The crowd was kind of iffy on this one. I think I might have been one of the only ones in my area that was like solidly behind Brock, because I was one of the guys that was like super excited to see him come back and return to the company and everything. But it it's one of those things where the crowd was really torn, at least in my area of the arena. Part of them wanted Triple H so badly because of how personal this feud was and the rivalry. And again, going back to long-term storytelling, you figure that Brock is the one who took the original undisputed title to SmackDown, making it SmackDown exclusive, who got the big gold belt on Raw.
Triple H.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Bischoff handed it to Triple H
Which
to
they,
create a
again,
champion over
never
there.
brought up once.
So, from the moment that the undisputed title originally became disputed again, Lesnar, Triple H.
Yep.
And again, like James said, none of that mentioned here. 10 years in the making at this point, and it's not even addressed.
No,
Yeah.
because we have to talk about this
With-
personal issue, which, fair enough, build
Without-
that on top of that, but...
Without Lesnar taking that title to SmackDown, there's no Reign of Terror.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, going through where both guys are. Brock, as we said, they would continue their program where Triple H would win a WrestleMania, then Brock would win the cage match, which I think were better matches. Probably the best match they probably had is the Mania match, but that's just my opinion.
I agree. They should have had that match here.
Yeah, Lesnar would go on to...
It's weird. It seems like whenever Triple H has a set of matches with a big guy, the first match is always a dud.
Yeah.
It's usually by the third one where they've felt each other out and they've worked things
Well, it's
out.
actually, in this case, it was the second one. It was the second one.
But still, it's never... It always seems on paper like the first match should be good.
Yep.
And then the second, the third, however many down the road, they finally click and they have that chemistry that they're trying to go for. Batista's another example. That WrestleMania 21 match is garbage.
I wish they'd done the Hell in a Cell.
But by the time they get to Hell in a Cell...
So good. It's such a classic. I love that Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, going over, and then Brock Lesnar would go on to beat Punk. He would beat the Streak, and this is when he really became dominant. He destroyed John Cena 2 years later at this very same pay-per-view.
We don't. I'll tell you off air, but that has a whole new meaning now for me and for other people. I'll tell you off air.
He would have a really good WWE World Championship run. He had a really damn good match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31. Then he would have his feud with The Undertaker again, when Undertaker tried to avenge his loss of the Streak.
That was very... I don't know if you've ever gone back to watch that, JJ, and I don't recommend anything from the Vince era with high regard like this. But you owe it to yourself to check out the rematches after the streak ended. Those matches are really fucking awesome.
I've seen a couple of them. But the one that I rewatched the most is the end of the streak, because Heyman's expression on his face to this day is still my expression.
That's a
and then
and the girl I was dating at the time was such a huge Undertaker mark.
Yeah,
that it just kind of became a little ha-ha to rub that into her face every now and again. Like, what are you watching? Oh, I'm watching the streak end.
Then Brock would go on to have a good feud with Dean Ambrose, but not a good match at WrestleMania. Then he would have a really weird match with Randy Orton at SummerSlam, which I like, but I think a lot of people hate.
I hated it because of the ending, mainly. I don't like when you leave your fucking people out in the dark like that. I'm never gonna be okay with that.
Then he had a really good. Then he had an interesting program with Goldberg where they rekindled their feud.
Yeah,
He had a really good.
After they just rehabilitated Brock, they're like, well, he's Goldberg, so we gotta give him the win. And
I know that was
squashed Brock.
Yeah.
Then one. I will say, at least they redeemed their WrestleMania 20 match in the match they had at WrestMania 33.
Yes.
And then he had a really good Universal title reign. Having really good matches with Joe. That really good 4-way match at SummerSlam 2017.
That is honestly so underrated. Another match. I see. I don't hate everything that Vince ever booked. That was fucking awesome. Because you had four of the baddest MFers on the planet just kicking the shit out of each other. Like, the story probably sucked going in there, but if you didn't know anything about the story and you just saw Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and Brock frickin' Lesnar for the Universal title, and they're just tearing the entire arena apart like they did, wow.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant.
He had a disappointing match with Strowman at No Mercy, unfortunately. Then he had an awesome match with AJ Styles at Survivor Series 2017.
Yep, another one.
Had a really good triple threat with Kane and Braun Strowman at Royal Rumble 2018.
Slow the fuck down.
Yep. Then he had the awful match with Roman Reigns, where Roman Reigns finally won the Universal Championship. You can make an argument way too goddamn late.
Yep.
Actually, that match caused you to get our show kicked off. Massasoit School Grounds. Thanks a lot,
Vince.
Vince.
Because I got really loud and ranted. Yeah, true. That's fair.
And then he would go on to win the Universal Championship again at Crown Jewel in a really bad match with Strowman. But it's a Saudi show. I think you could tell by it. I don't even think.
I'll shorten it for you, basically, because I think we talked about most of this. But long story short, he would go on to have an iffy 2019 with good matches with Seth Rollins in between.
Don't forget the great matches he had with Daniel Bryan and Finn Balor too at Royal Rumble
as well. Yes, and then he had a good match with McIntyre, even if it was in an empty arena. Passed the torch for a little bit.
Then he came back to be Cowboy Block, and it's like the best one he's probably ever had.
The best run, period.
Yeah.
Period, bar none.
The best run since his debut.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
because you cannot take anything away from that debut the night after WrestleMania.
No way.
And the whole rise of the next big thing, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. I kind of hope. I mean, I would mind to see him come back, but I think he should be done after this match with Roman at SummerSlam. I think that's a very fitted end.
It's such a great ending. Like, there's no better way for a gladiator like him to go out. Really, you couldn't go out any better than that.
I thought that was going to be the end of it, but I hear that he's being promoted on promotional materials for Rumble, and I've seen him on promotional posters for Mania.
So we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
We'll definitely have to see what the future holds for the Beast Incarnate.
So as of right now, we don't know if he's coming. We don't. He might not be coming back. We'll just say that.
That tractor spot's still one of the best spots WWE has ever done, and that I still stand by that. That is outstanding.
And then as for Triple H, after the feud with Brock, he would go on to turn heel and form the Authority by turning on Daniel Bryan, and he said feuds with Daniel Bryan, which were awesome, the Shield, which were great, and then the Authority lasted too long, and they started feuding with people that we know that they really were behind, like John Cena and Roman Reigns. Like, get out of here with that type of stuff.
Yeah, or how about this one? He was a heel on TV as the Authority angle, and then he was a face running NXT publicly.
Yeah.
What?
Do you remember he got beat down by Roman Reigns, really bad at TLC, but then was on NXT TakeOver London, fine as a babyface, the next day, 2 days later or something.
I love how the random NXT TakeOver where Seth Rollins came and invaded. And it was building up to his match with Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, and Triple H had to be heel even though he was a babyface in the. He
he beat Sting at WrestleMania, which everybody hated.
Including Triple H.
Yeah, including him.
Including him.
He had a really good WrestleMania mixed tag with him and Steph versus Kurt and Wanda. That was really good.
Fucking outstanding.
And then
probably some of Steph's best in-ring work. Period.
Yeah, you know what? It's between and I'm not even kidding when I say this. It's between that or the match he had with Brie Bella to me. I'm not even saying that unironically. Like, I really liked the match because she showed a lot more than I even thought she could show. She was the ring general of that match, really.
Yeah.
You know?
And then he had a really weird feud with Batista, but like good if you like the memes, like give me what I want and all that type of stuff.
Give me what I want.
It's
freaking spit taken, dude. It's so terrible, but it's also like hilarious. So like I'm okay with it. Like you gotta take the stupid sometimes and just laugh and enjoy.
Especially that awesome music video they made where like Batista's
music video sounds so fun. JJ, I know you're shaking your head. Have you seen that music video? Please tell me you have.
I don't recall. I'm gonna have to look it up.
You have. Oh my god. You know what? Give me what I want is at least, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You look up. Give me what I want. Batista music video. It's an easy find. It's an easy watch.
It's hilarious. And then unfortunately, he had his last official match at a Saudi show. I think it was Super Showdown against Randy Orton.
Oh, that's right. Oh.
And then
we're just gonna not even talk about the Brothers of Destruction DX match.
Oh, I did actually. I left that out.
You know what? That I agree.
For a reason, it's like Bruno from Encanto. We just don't talk about that.
I agree.
Yep.
You know what?
I
firmly agree.
It's a black spot on every competitor in that ring's record, including the referee.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he went on to just kind of run NXT for a bit and stuff. He really didn't do anything. The last physical thing he did in the ring was a fight with Randy Orton, and that was about it. And then he had a heart attack at was it September of 2021? It was right before NXT relaunch, I remember.
And now
and then
back in control. And now probably working harder than he ever has before the heart attack. To be fair.
He's the EVP of Talent Relations and the head creative, which
good for him.
Creative, which long overdue.
Good for him.
Yeah. You can make an argument it's too late, but it's long overdue.
I disagree. At this point, it can't. I'll tell you why. It can't get any worse.
That's true.
Seriously, and I'd argue it's actually gotten better already, and it hasn't even been 2 weeks yet.
So let me ask you then, because you've said this on past podcasts now and stuff. Once Vince is gone, you're gonna start watching again. Have you been watching again?
Yes.
Or just don't?
Yes, I have. I didn't watch live only because of the week I had. I just needed a break from wrestling. But I caught up with everything. For the first time, I'll watch Raw and SmackDown. I will refuse to watch that. I know you like it, JJ, but I refuse to watch that rainbow skittled-colored dye job they've done to my NXT. Fuck that. But Raw and SmackDown I did watch and enjoyed. So
if I'm gonna ask you this as a personal favor.
Go ahead.
Watch Heatwave.
You know what? I might, because he is head creative with Paul, right? On that
give it a chance with their next big special, and then see what follows.
I agree.
You were pleasantly surprised by SummerSlam. Let's see if this next big show they have is going to be a turning point. It's not going to go back to the black and gold.
I'm not expecting that, no.
But give Heatwave a chance, and then give the week after Heatwave a chance. And if you still can't get back into the NXT, at least I've got you watching Raw and SmackDown again. I feel that's a good enough victory.
Yeah.
I don't feel NXT is as bad as you make it sound like it is. And then again, with the fact that this is going to be, although not a PLE, it's going to be a big show special.
Right.
It could be exactly the new turning point, the new starting point for the new regime, just like SummerSlam was.
let me just put this in perspective. I don't know if necessarily you were just... I did come on just because I wanted to, because I thought it was a cool opportunity. That I won't deny, but I don't think I watched WWE full-time in about 7 years. Probably around the same time you stopped. So for me, it's been a long time before I watched a Raw or a SmackDown and firmly enjoyed it. I felt that way with Raw, and I felt that way with SmackDown. And I'm not saying it was perfect by any means, but right now they have a lot to fix. I'm not expecting everything to be fixed overnight. But the fact that there's progression, and I'm seeing the progression, checks all the boxes for me right now. At this point, I have such low expectations that any improvement, that's a good show to me with them.
Exactly.
Seriously.
I agree. All right, so before we, let's rate this show. I'm gonna start. I know the host is supposed to go last, but I'm gonna get the ball rolling. So I look at this show. I think I originally was gonna come on here and say it was like a C- show because I didn't feel bad about it. But then we started talking about it, and I think this is the more we crapped on it. It was like it started to become like a worse show. I'll say the positives. The positives is the U.S. title match because it was Cesaro's first title win, but now it's a negative because they never did anything with Cesaro. So that's a positive but a negative. I like the Triple H.
Just like Cesaro, because he had the neutralizer.
I like the WWE. I'm sorry. I like the main event. I thought the main event was really good. I like Daniel Bryan versus Kane. I like the IC title match, and I like Jericho versus Ziggler. The negatives. There's a lot of negatives. Promotion of Tout. I think that has to be a negative, especially in hindsight.
I got you, Noah. Owen. I did it again because you guys. I don't know. My brain fucking fried. Yeah. But let me just. I'll speed it up for you here. The worst about SummerSlam. Everything else.
Really. Yeah. So I'm giving this show like I don't think it's F quality because I've seen worse shows than this, but I'm gonna give this like I'm gonna give it a D. I don't know if it's quite D plus. I'm giving it a D. Not for did not watch either. For like D, like it's actually like a D show.
So you could take it or leave it type of thing.
Yeah, like I don't feel that. I think we talked about this. I think the reason I liked this show at the time probably too is because it was after we got 2 shit SummerSlams. So I think this show probably seemed so good in comparison, but it's still not a good show.
See, and I'd debate you on that. I think in hindsight, those 2 SummerSlams are better than you remember or are giving them credit for. This is definitely the weakest, in my opinion, of the 3.
I agree too, by the way. I do agree.
I mean, everyone wants to talk about the Nexus getting buried by John Cena, and while the ending of that match was horribly booked, everything else about that match was stellar. True. It was just the way the finish was booked that was god-awful. And that's what everybody dwells on, because Nexus, this was supposed to be their coming out party, and they were dead on arrival. Because of Cena coming back from either being down 2-on-1 or even 3-on-1. And then winning
2-on-1. It was 2-on-1 after a DDT to the fucking concrete.
But the rest of that match was amazing.
Right.
And then you had other stuff sprinkled throughout the card, and we can get into those another day if you want, since I was there for those. But I definitely feel this was the worst out of the 3, and I still give this one a C-, just a little bit better than you did, mainly because of the fact that while some of the matches were definitely bad, there was some silver linings throughout them. You know, the Ziggler-Jericho match, although it was really slow, it still had a decent story to it. It had great in-ring action from 2 of the best of my generation. The Miz Rey Mysterio match was definitely match of the night.
Yeah.
Bryan versus Kane, the match itself kind of was what it was, but then you look at where that angle went from there, and then you can kind of almost give that match a little bit of a pass, like the Bart Simpson, at least you tried cake, because
Yeah.
where it went from there was exponentially better. You know, um, the world title match, Alberto and Sheamus, snooze fest. The primetime players, Kofi R-Truth, snooze fest. The Punk triple threat, the actual story building into the match, considering that they didn't touch the true story here, was decent enough. But Big Show came off exactly like he needed to. This unstoppable giant of a man that it took both the other competitors to make tap out. The restarting the match was what it was. Punk still got the victory, retained the way he was supposed to. The Kevin Rudolph thing, like I said, I went to the bathroom during that. Whatever.
Is that who
And
did the theme? Damn.
yeah, and then the Lesnar Triple H again was intense. It was personal. It was brutal. It was everything you expected. So while definitely not a great show, I C minus for me.
James, you have the deciding grade.
Man. Well, I don't think this is going to be a shock to anybody, but my only real two highlights of the show for me was Kane and Bryan, mainly because of how Bryan made Glenn just breathe heavy. So that was just for pure comedic purposes, and the fact that I realized Miz is actually a really damn good wrestler, and Daniel Bryan did a lot to help him in that department because of that, competitive nature the both of them have, which I think is healthy, even if they want to claim otherwise. I'm pissed we'll never ever get that match now, because now I really want to see it, because I feel like The Miz could actually hold his own against Danielson, and it would be a hell of a freaking match, and we'll never ever see that again.
I know.
I think they're two. I think they're 2 wins apiece now. There's like 1-1. We still have yet to have that rubber match all this time later.
Yeah.
It sucks. I want that, and I don't know if we'll ever get it now, unless Forbidden Door happens. Hint, hint. WWE do it. Yeah. Had it not been for those 2 matches, that would have this show would have gotten an F for me. Just for that alone, I'm giving this a D minus.
All right.
Wow. All right.
Just that alone, I couldn't stand the commentary. It was unbearable. I couldn't stand most of the way the card was structured. Now, I guess you could say, maybe you could argue it should be a D, because it was the right results, but I always say it's, what is the one thing we say about wrestling? It's always about the journey, not about the destination a lot of the time, right?
That's true.
If the journey there sucks, who cares about the destination? This has kind of been the problem with WWE in a nutshell for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
On and off, they've had their bright spots, but then they have cards like SummerSlam 2012. And it's a far cry from where they were even in 2002, which was a far superior show. Right up there with SummerSlam 1992, which was a lot better than I even expected it would be. And I thought I was going to get a crap fest. And I really enjoyed the Ultimate Warrior versus Macho Man match, which I really did not think I was going to. But I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the storytelling they did with Flair and Perfect and all that. I loved that for some reason. I just did. And then
An underrated tag match on that show,
underrated
too.
tag match on that show. There was tons of great stuff on that show. And, of course, Davey Boy and Brett. It's a far cry from that era, man. Fuck.
Maybe we should have just skipped 2012. We were like, oh, we're gonna do every 10 years. Boy, did the 10 years not age well.
No, I'm glad you recommended it though, because boy is timing everything.
Yeah.
God damn is timing everything. Because now Vince is gone. We just reviewed the epitome of Vince production, right? And we just saw one of the best SummerSlams in the last, I don't even know how long. like not even recently.
Yeah.
So I think this really worked out in my view. I don't know about your feelings on it, JJ. I know you haven't seen the other 2 reviews that we did, but you know, the last 40 years, the evolution, I think it covers itself pretty well now.
Yeah, you know, all things move in a cycle. And I think that with where we are going today is a lot closer to where we were in 92 and even '02 than we were in 2012. And
Yeah.
I think that's the big takeaway from this is you look at the way things are being shaped and we're getting a little bit more of what the true fans really want again, as opposed to just catering to the kid demographic to try to sell action figures.
Which is funny because the reason why kids were even watching is because they were catering by doing that exact same thing, but also catering to the hardcore fan. Because
Yep.
the hardcore fan, by the way, in any business, gets the casual fan to watch anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for SummerSlam 2012. Let's do the plugs now. We'll start with JJ. Like, he really needs to get plugged on this show. I think he's bigger than both of us, but he can still plug.
Honestly, yes, but I'm glad you could be on here, and I do appreciate that you could be on here because the fact that, like, and granted, like, you know, the whole idea is like, this is going to sound like a backhanded compliment, but it's like, oh, he's Jeff's friend. But, like, you're the most high-profile guest I think we've ever had on the show, period.
Yeah.
I appreciate
just for
that.
You know? And I appreciate Jeff for introducing me to you and you doing this show by proxy. So where can I check you out, bro? You got 300 people you could at least plug your stuff to. So let's go about that.
Hey, there we go. So you can check me out. My main bread and butter is movie reviews. I do a show called Renegades Reviews every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the Casa D18 Studios YouTube channel. On Saturdays, I do what's called New Release Saturday, and I discuss a movie that's currently in theaters or that just dropped. You know, some movies these days are going straight to streaming platforms, Hulu original movies, Netflix original movies, etc. So I do a new release film on Saturdays. Sundays are the War Zone, the weekly acquisition report, where I discuss all the newest additions to my ever-growing movie library, and it's massive. Eventually, once things get set up around here, I will do like a video just going through my entire collection, but I've got probably close to 2,000 DVDs and Blu-rays.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
a lot. I gotta see this
Mondays, I always do shows with Jeff Meacham. You can find that both on my channel as well as on the Jeff Meacham Network. We alternate themes each week. So one week we'll do Ask the Dads, where you guys can submit questions to us during the live stream and we'll discuss the topic that you bring up or answer any questions you may have. The opposite weeks we do the Dads Not Always on Wrestling, where we usually do a top 10 format. One show each month is a wrestling theme, the other show is a non-wrestling theme, hence the Not Always. I don't know when you're going to be putting this up, but on August 8th will be the next Dad's Not Always on Wrestling. We're going to be taking a look at
this will be after the fact. We're going to be posting this on Thursday. So
okay, well, you can go back then, and you can check out me and Jeff did the top 10 songs of the band The Eagles, which is a longtime favorite of Jeff's and his family's. So he's going to be getting into some of the more deep album cuts that you should take note of and listen to that maybe you've never heard. Well, I'm going to mainly be covering the greatest hits because that's my exposure to them.
Hey, yeah, sounds like a lot of exciting stuff there.
Definitely.
James, do you want to promote your stuff next? Or you want to go last? Like,
I will go next because I like your catchphrase for this type of show. So I'm gonna let you close it. But if you want to know where you can find me, you can check me out on youtube.com/user/JHebertside95, JHEBERTSIDE95. We will be doing an Indie Force covering Vince and probably a whole host of other stuff in video games and movies and sports, anything in between pretty much. We're going to be covering it all on the Indie Force. Check that out. Episode 26 will be coming out. In the meantime, you can check out episode 25, which is our initial thoughts of the Vince stuff, as well as the Jeff Hardy drama that unfolded during that month. So go check that out if you haven't already, as well as the timeline video. And also the Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen live watch parties, which, while I had a few hiccups here and there during the shows themselves, I corrected those. It's helped me with my live stream process. And ultimately, I think they turned out pretty damn good graphically. So go check those out. And finally, check out my CAW League, Weymouth Youth Wrestling. That's WEYMOUTH Youth Wrestling, all one word. Or you could also space Weymouth Space Youth Wrestling, or check it out on youtube.com/user/WYW Pride. While there's no new content out right now as of yet, other than the Indie Force, more stuff will probably be coming up. So definitely be on the lookout for that. A Jay Hebert side is in the works, as I am planning on getting all my notes down, as I'll be talking about the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp stuff, and the Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith stuff for multitudes of reasons, finally, which I've been trying to get done for ages. The week's been crazy, the month's been crazy, the year's been crazy, to be honest, in the world of wrestling. So I just haven't been able to find the time up until now, even though it's less relevant. So there you go. That's pretty much what I got coming up without knowing officially when everything is. I'll probably know within a week or two. So there you go.
All right. So as for my stuff, you can subscribe to this channel, Wrestling Fortune 44, for all the content. AEW Spoke every week. Usually somebody will do it every week. Usually I will host it, but if I ever couldn't host it, James can always be made available to host it.
Indeed.
Next, hopefully if things can work out, next Monday, not this Monday, I'm going to have my first guest on the show. It's going to be James Hebert. He's going to come on and, because he's going to watch all the content and stuff anyway, so I figured, why not have it?
Why not?
Might as well, so it doesn't feel like a waste of time. So just in case he sees a bad episode of AEW Elevation, he can be like, "Oh, why did I waste my time watching this?" And laptops on the floor.
You want me to rage on the stream? I get it. It is funny for people. I wouldn't say rage, just be in bewilderment. There you go.
Other stuff to check out, though. We have, like I said, we've been doing a lot of retros lately. We did Retro Wrestling Review Series for SummerSlam 1992, 2002, and this one right here. You can even rewatch it if you wanted to. Why not? No one's going to judge you. We have some retros coming up. We're going to try to find a time. I'm hoping it's going to be with either next week or the week after to do Casey's pick, SummerSlam 2003, and Noah's pick, because we're still doing Noah's pick, SummerSlam 2000. And then I want to do some WWE shows in the UK, since WWE is doing their first UK pay-per-view. I want to try to get NXT TakeOver NXT TakeOver London, and some Raws, SmackDowns, and some other shows that WWE's done in the UK. If there's any shows that wrestling itself has done in the UK, I was thinking, by the way, should we do Royal Quest, because that was in the UK. That was a New Japan show in the UK.
Ooh, that's a good. Yeah, probably. I would include Royal Quest, and I would also include the Insurrection and
Yeah, I'll send you
one of the Rebellion pay-per-views personally. Even though it's basically just a glorified house show, they were still fun at least.
Yeah, I'll resend you the list of all the UK pay-per-views.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I honestly, it's probably going to come after Clash of the Castle, just because life is what it is.
Yeah. Hopefully it isn't that way in a couple of weeks, but we'll see. But yeah, and also we're doing a rundown, because we haven't done a rundown in a while. We have to talk about all this stuff. So I think we're going to do a rundown. I think we should do one in 2 weeks when our lives aren't as busy. So 2 weeks we're going to do a rundown.
I agree.
It might be a crossover with All Things Wrestling, but
I think no. All Things Wrestling is happening in 2 weeks from now. We only did that for the Forbidden Door thing. That was kind of the gimmick at the time.
So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it 2 weeks. We're gonna do a rundown in 2 weeks.
There you go.
And I think that's it. And also check out On the Talkinator and CM Brothers for past videos of me on there where I'm talking about non-wrestling things and sometimes wrestling things on the CM Brothers one, but enjoy that stuff there. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And we will talk to you guys later, or if you're watching this in the past or in the future, in the past or in the future.
What? I thought you were going to say, or if you're watching this, okay, sure. Oh, you got it so right the last two times. What happened? Oh
well. We haven't done a video. I haven't done it in a couple of weeks, so that's.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair.
That's.
We gotta go back to the past, Samurai Jack. Bye.
Redoing all the classics, you heard it, then I grabbed it. Flow like Method Man, then run like I'm Rabbit. Soon as I hear the bass line, it be my FaceTime. Music's in my veins, so just in case I'm without my iPod or a media player, I'll check my.